You know, there's a lot of depressing news out there, and we were trying to figure out what the lead of this show is going to be. You got the Kari Lake election contest lawsuit has advanced. The judge set a trial date. You got TikTok, a pair of lawmakers, bipartisan, plus Rubio. They want to ban it in the United States, so this is bipartisan. You got Elon Musk. They put out the story saying they haven't paid rent in weeks, which means what? It's like, oh, no, I haven't paid my mortgage in a month. Yeah, well, that's how it works. You pay it every month. So I don't know what that story is, but I needed a good laugh today. I needed to have fun. We needed to laugh. And there's this story where Joe Biden, who's 80 years old, explodes cussing, saying, you think I don't know how effing old I am, yelling because they're like, bro, you're too old. You can't run for president in 2024, but he's going to do it anyway. So, we can laugh at that, I guess. Joe Biden exploding and getting angry about it. There's a lot to talk about. Before we get started, head over to timcast.com. Become a member in order to support our work, and you'll get access to exclusive members-only, uncensored segments of this show Monday through Thursday at 11 p.m. And I will also add that next week we will be in Phoenix. We're going to be doing the show live with Turning Point USA. So it may be, we got to figure out exactly how it's going to go down. It may be earlier than we normally do the show because we're going to be on stage at the event. And we're going to have different guests come in and out. It'll be a whole lot of fun. And then we'll be in Phoenix for that week. And then Christmas. So I think we might be off after Christmas because literally nobody wants to travel and work between Christmas and New Year's. So we'll see what happens. But again, go to timcast.com. Become a member. Smash that like button. Subscribe to this channel. Share the show with your friends. We got a couple guests joining us to talk about this and so much more. We got Riley Moore.
Thanks for having me.
Who are you, good sir?
I am the state treasurer of West Virginia, and I'm also a candidate for Congress in 2024 in the great state of West Virginia.
Right on. You also skate better than Beto O'Rourke.
That is a fact. And if somehow this is able to transmit over to him, I will play him in a game of skate anywhere, anytime. He can't win elections, and he certainly cannot win a game of skate against me.
Yeah, but in all fairness, like we were just downstairs at the mini ramp, and you're actually doing a bunch of tricks. You did like a fakie pivot rock and like kick flips and stuff. Beto like rides on the board and acts like he's cool. So it's just punching down, So
yeah,
yeah. But Phil's back too.
Hi everybody, I am Phil Labonte. I sing for the heavy metal band All That Remains. I am here to enjoy the wonderful Maryland air, and I'm here to be loud with Luke and Tim and hang out with Riley so we can dunk on loser Beto.
And Biden.
Yeah, we can. I'm so happy we decided to go with the Biden is old story.
It's just reality.
Don't you know?
I haven't heard that one before.
Don't you think I know how old I am?
First of all, I don't believe that he knows.
I know.
All right, let's save it for the actual
The answer is no. We don't think so.
We got Luke chilling.
Hey guys, what do Christmas lights and Jeffrey Epstein have in common? Well, you're going to have to find out on thebestpoliticalshirts.com, where you could get the sweater that I'm wearing right now, where you could also get long sleeves, V-necks, women's shirts, you name it, socks. We got it all on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. Perfect for your next family gathering. Because you guys buy these shirts, that's why I'm here. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, hoe gaan het bij mensen? Blij om terug te wees op die podcast. Good to see you guys. It'll be a good show.
What was that?
Ye's going to be angry. Ye's going to be pissed.
Was that Afrikaans?
Yeah, I'm just saying good to be on the podcast again.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
That
good to be
was cool.
back.
There you go, man. All right, here's the first story we have from the Daily Mail. I don't know, Phil, do you want to just read the headline?
No! We think you don't have any idea how old you are, old man. You think I don't know how fucking old I am? Joe Biden, 80, says.
Vents to allies about how he's fed up with fixation on his age as Democrats speculate if he will run for president in 2024. This one actually is really funny. Biden turned 80 in November. He'd be 82 years old if he wins and takes office in 2025. Jeez. He is already the oldest man ever elected president. I'm pretty sure if Trump wins, he would also be the oldest president ever elected.
Yep.
So I guess this is just where we're at. What is this? Look, I guess maybe we just want to rag on Joe Biden a little bit, but but the question I have is, why is it that old people are clinging to power like this, and where are the younger people to cling it back and actually start leading? I guess you're running, Riley. You know, you're younger.
Yeah, look,
younger than Biden, but
yeah, most people alive are. Yeah.
Truth.
For me, look, I won this office as state treasurer from an older guy. He had been in office for 24 years, was elected in 1996, look, that's what we ran on. I ran on modernizing the office, changing the office, bringing it into this century, which he was like, I did modernize the office in 1996. We got the internet.
Did he really say that?
Yes.
Bless his heart.
Yes.
That's all you can say is that poor man.
But, to your point, them clinging to power, I'm the first Republican elected in West Virginia as state treasurer in 92 years.
No way.
And this is West Virginia. And it's, people just clinging on to power.
First elected?
First Republican elected in 92 years. First Republican elected in 92 years.
Wow.
And... it does take this generation stepping up and taking some risks. That was a risk for me. I'm taking the risk here to run for Congress in 24. And it just takes this generation to just step up and do something about it. Because if you don't keep taking shots at kind of the establishment class, they will continue to persist.
We do have Ocasio-Cortez. She's young.
Yes.
She's millennial.
Yes.
Do you count as a millennial or are you a Gen X? Because I'm Gen X.
I think I'm right on the border.
Yeah.
Because I'm
42, you said?
Yeah. So 1980, and depending what the internet says, sometimes I'm Gen X, sometimes I'm millennial.
I think they call it Zennial.
Yeah.
Ian's the same age.
I just wonder if people that are Gen X, generally we've kind of been fairly the aloof and detached generation. Like, people didn't hear a whole lot about Gen X. Like, millennials kind of stormed onto the scene before people started paying attention to Gen X. It was like everyone was complaining about the boomers. We were kind of just quietly, existing. And then the millennials came and were just like, pay attention to me! And Gen X is kind of like, and I wonder if that kind of attitude of being aloof has kept Gen X away from trying to be in government. This is kind of, I guess, spitballing here, I think.
Gen X is like the forgotten generation.
Kind of.
Because everyone's mad at boomers and disgusted by millennials. And Gen X is just like,
Rightly.
we're here too, guys.
Correct.
We exist.
I just go to work every day,
Well, that's the thing. Like, whenever I bring up boomer stuff, I'll say, like, the boomers did this good, did this bad, and then millennials are doing this. I get a bunch of comments where they're like, Tim, I'm Gen X, we exist. And I'm like, I know. It's just there's not really much to say because you're doing all right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, you got some good music, you're running some companies, you're not doing horrible things boomers are doing. You didn't make Star Trek The Next Generation, but you maybe worked on it with the boomers. But you're also not a bunch of woke psychopaths for the most part. So I'm chill with Gen X. I think they're cool people.
For the most part, Gen X has been fairly benign and inoffensive, aside from the fact that
stop generalizing and collectivizing. I just want to bring it back to this original story here because Biden still thinks he's in charge here. Obviously, clearly, there's bigger powers above him that do call the shots here, but we have to consider that with the way that the Democratic Party is shaping up, and even sources coming out through the corporate media saying that he's going to announce his bid for the presidency after this holiday season, there's a big chance that he actually might run and he might win, especially with the way that the Democrats have been fortifying elections. I think it's very clear more than ever that we could have a second Biden administration, especially with the advancements of technology, especially with how useful he has been to the current ruling class that has been using him in order to push on the most unpopular policies ever on humanity, especially with the way that they have played out, destroying domestic energy. And I could go on and on and on, but it's a deliberate action. I think he's there for a reason, and I think he might be there for the next 6 years.
Luke, you're exciting the doomers.
Hey, I'm being real here.
Hold on. I just gotta. Remember the photo where Biden had the IV track marks or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're cranking him full of whatever they
He's
can
on
to keep him
stem
going.
cells, young people, baby blood, probably. They do it in Mexico. Don't joke here. This is not crazy stuff. They literally do this stuff in some places around the world. Some people might say adrenochrome. Some people might say this. Hey, okay, that's another level. But the
Prestone.
But the stem cells and the young people blood is not out of the realm of possibility here.
We just got to slow down a little bit. You said baby blood and adrenochrome. Hold on.
I said some people might say adrenochrome. I said baby blood.
It's okay, but it's probably what we have heard is these stories where powerful elites hire like 19-year-old bodybuilders to do blood transfusions every other week. Blood
Yeah.
boys, is that what
Blood
they're
boys.
called?
I mean, that's
so
the joking term on
weird.
Silicon Valley, but
Right. You know, so I don't know what they're cranking Biden full of, but we saw the IV marks. He's an old guy. Look, at the very least, he's getting like a vitamin drip. They probably come in.
Vitamin drip.
Yeah, once a week, they hook up the IV and they give him, you know, vitamin C, vitamin B, all that stuff.
Listen,
Look,
they bring in Abrina Brovimich, right? They close in the room. They start getting all the liquids from all the human bodily orifices, and then they start summoning the entities, and then this probably literally happens, and they probably are like, keep him in power. He's too good for us. And the demons are like, okay, yes, we'll do this.
Translated.
And that's probably what's happening.
Translated into English, what really happens, he flies back to Delaware a lot. He probably is going there so they can bring in doctors that they don't track. The doctor then brings a vitamin drip IV bag, maybe NAD. You know, if you watch Joe Rogan, you know exactly what's going on. And they're probably stem cells, definitely. Stem cells is actually like I don't want to say common.
I want to submit one quick idea before I let you on. I don't think you're right, because I believe all that stuff that you're talking about works and Joe Biden doesn't.
Fair point.
But it's a certain age. At a certain age, though, I mean, there's only so much you could do to fix the system,
Look,
right?
I mean,
you could keep them up and running. But you know, with the way that things are going and the way that truly things are run in our political system, why wouldn't he have a body double? Why wouldn't the body double be in there when he's so convenient for the ruling class? I mean, I think that's worth speculating on. I don't have any proof. I don't have any evidence of this. But if the president of Venezuela has a body double, why wouldn't the U.S. president have a body double?
No, I definitely agree with that. There was like that viral photo of Hillary Clinton that everyone said wasn't really Hillary Clinton. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not going to get in it. But she did not look like Hillary Clinton. If you're a powerful military involved or state official, yeah, I really doubt the U.S. would not give you a body double.
Yeah, Kim Jong-un has a couple of them, right?
Right.
And the United States doesn't have of them? Come on.
I want all that to be true. I don't know that I believe it, but it's a much cooler story than like not having body doubles. I don't know that have seen any kind of evidence that would lead me to believe that. But I mean, I also, you know, there's a lot of things that the government has done that I would not have believed.
Riley's got like 2 or 3 body doubles.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, just a West Virginia state treasurer.
I need one to come in and do a 360 flip for me.
That's right. Yeah.
But the thing is, though, for the left, he is the best candidate. He's the greatest candidate they could have because he believes in essentially whatever they tell him to believe in.
Yeah, he's an empty vessel.
And all he's ever wanted his entire life was to be president. He's ran several times. He's there. This is the retirement gig. And talking about millennials, well, the White House is chock full of them. And they are running the show. Every left-wing thing that you can think of has been pushed forward by this administration. I mean, it makes almost like the Obama administration look like a moderate administration compared to what's happening right now in the Biden administration.
We had that viral video of the biggest caravan ever to cross the southern border. And it's kind of crazy to me that you can be politely and calmly saying something like, hey, it's really bad that there's a bunch of kids living under our bridge and dying in the desert and being trafficked and young girls being raped and coyotes in black market. And just nothing happens.
We have nothing. There are more important things going on. He literally said that. Yes. Are you going to go to the border? No, because there's more important things going on.
I just want to finish my point. So why wouldn't they keep this kind of show running when it's so beneficial to them? And second, I met someone that looks exactly like me, and I was like, I need your number. Hold on, I might need you in the future. And if I'm thinking this way, what is the U.S. federal government thinking about? I mean, it's you look at Face Off, you look at the advancements in plastic surgery, artificial intelligence,
Face
anything.
Off, the movie?
Yes, you look at
Nicolas Cage and John Travolta.
Anything.
Faces.
I'm saying anything is possible here.
I mean,
you bring in Obama, you do an operation. I mean,
I want to say that it's silly, but if you go and you read history about the things that the CIA has actually tried and attempted, they'll try anything.
FDR was incapacitated. FDR was not able to rule. His wife was ruling with the special interest, with the people behind him. They were making all the decisions. He couldn't even make any decisions.
That's not
Reagan.
talking.
Yeah.
Reagan's brain was gone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this happened before. Why wouldn't it happen now? Why wouldn't it happen during a second administration? It's like that vacation movie with Bernie. What's his name?
Weekend at Bernie's.
Weekend at Bernie's. Yeah, it's like Weekend at Bernie's 2. They made a second version. So there's a big likelihood that there's going to be another version of this.
I mean, do you think there's any point where he's brought some issue or policy and he says no? I mean, by his staff?
Yes, but he probably tries to say no and goes, and then they're just like, it's good. They take his hand with the rubber stamp and he's like, no, and then they stamp yes, and he's like, no. He can't do anything about it.
I don't think he has any care about any of the policies that are being presented at all.
They put him in a fake office. Remember when he was he was at a sound stage and they had screens behind him and they're like, that's right, you're the president, and he's like, oh.
Yeah, I don't think he does. I think that there's not a whole lot of argument that decisions are being made without Biden's input. There's most people think that the chief of staff and other people in the administration are actually making the day-to-day calls, and then the overall broad policy decisions are not being made by Joe Biden, because the overall broad policy decisions are kind of baked into the philosophy that the left has now. It's like you kind of can predict what the policy positions they're going to be looking for, the things that the activists are asking for, the people in positions of power are doing their best to deliver to the activists.
I just got to make sure people know. Whenever I say something crazy, I got to pull up a source, because I remember we had one time that Luke mentioned Bill Gates was creating computer chips to implant in people to stop them from getting pregnant. And I was like, oh, come on, Luke. And then we Googled it and it was true. So we have this from the New York Post. Biden mocked for Truman Show presidency over fake White House set. That's right. They put Biden in a set with TV screens as fake windows, and they put different things on the back. That's what they're doing to this man. I just want to make sure everybody knows that actually happened.
That we know of.
They do just, they're going to keep rolling them out. And if you go flashback to Biden 20 years ago, Biden 30 years ago, whatever it is.
Different guy.
Different guy. Policies were very, very different. Now he's abortion with no limits whatsoever. But in a not too distant past, that's not where he was.
It is.
They have a fake White House set. Why wouldn't they have a fake White House president? Right? Yeah. I'm serious. I'm surprised they didn't work with Disney and started one of the rides.
But the thing
where it's like, one of the rides in Disney where you just kind of sit there and then the theater kind of moves. Like, here's now the president of the United States, and you get the AI generated hologram puppet coming out there. That's literally something that could be conceivable and could be happening right now, especially because when you look at military technology, it is usually 30 years ahead of what the United States and the general public usually knows about.
But the point that the thing that we're kind of saying is it doesn't matter if it's Joe Biden has a body double or not, because Joe Biden isn't making the calls anyways.
Yeah.
So if it's Joe Biden or a body double of Joe Biden, it doesn't matter, because we've already kind of agreed that the chief of staff at the White House is making the calls, and the actual direction the left is going that way without Joe Biden, and Joe Biden's just along for the ride.
How many times has he said something publicly and then they come out and correct it?
Exactly.
I mean, multiple times.
That's why I don't think a lot. We've argued this before. People are like, he's clearly not making the call. Someone's doing it for him. And I'm like, no, I think he is. But they're just shrugging and then doing random things. Mm-hmm. So when he goes out on TV and says a thing, they have to come out and correct him. Now think about what happens behind closed doors. He's telling them what to do, and then they're doing whatever they want. So I don't think they're going to Biden and saying, Biden, you're going to tell people to do this. And he goes, okay. I think they go in and Biden goes, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this, that, that. And they're like, you got it. And they walk out and say, what are you guys going to do? I'm going to do something else.
Yeah, and I think they do have to, and they've been trying to do this. They're trying to manage him better. I mean, do you remember when he came out and said, red line with Taiwan, China invades Taiwan, we're showing up, and they're like, oh, hey, time out. Here's actually what he meant.
Yeah.
Or when he said, they're going to get mad at me if I read this or ask questions or whatever. It's like, who's they?
Yeah.
Who's the president?
just like you said, like this is all evidence, just, that he isn't the guy in charge, that there are other people that will correct the president. Now, that's not the way it's supposed to be, but it doesn't matter if it's him or a body double or whatever, considering that is the open and kind of obvious state of affairs, regardless of whether people approve of it or not. It doesn't matter if people that like Biden don't like the fact that Biden doesn't make the calls. Everyone knows Biden doesn't make the calls. Pardon my French. Sorry.
It's not just that. It's when he starts to understand, like, oh, here's the media. Let me talk to them. They literally whisk him away. There's a video of an Easter bunny appearing, grabbing Joe Biden, whisking him away when he was starting to talk about Afghanistan, knowing, oh crap, he can't talk to the media. Fox News, Easter bunny whisks Biden away as he starts discussing Afghanistan video. That's a real thing that happened. And literally we are having hired actors, Easter bunnies, acting like the media liaisons, making sure that the president of the United States does not get to openly speak with the press and the media. You
Look at
can't
this.
script this stuff.
Look at this video. Let's play it. Look at what's he doing.
Pakistan and not to Afghan people.
Pakistan should not, and Afghanistan should be people.
Oh, the Easter Bunny.
Oh, the Easter Bunny.
Yeah, the Easter Bunny. Literally whisked him away. Like, nope, not happening. That is crazy. Who's in charge? It's not Joe Biden.
That should get played every time that Joe Biden speaks. That should be played right afterwards, so everyone knows exactly what the score is.
And all you could kind of make out was like Pakistan, Afghanistan. They're like, did he say Pakistan? Let Easter Bunny.
Yeah.
Hey, why don't you get over there?
The Easter Bunny's standing there and then like looking around, and then CIA guy is like, or FBI, the president's going off script. Bring in the Easter Bunny, and the Easter Bunny's like, copy, and the Easter Bunny like goes in waving, and but for real, that's probably what happened.
Yes, that's literally what happens.
Someone had to tell the Easter Bunny to go and stop him from speaking to people.
Can you imagine in his mind? He's like, God, these people are everywhere. Like Biden's like the Easter
He's
Bunny.
like, I finally got away. I finally could speak to the press. I finally get to say something. No, the Easter Bunny comes in. And
You guys ever watch like Mr. Magoo?
Yeah.
Where he's like blindly bumbling about, and then he like walks on the I-beam and gets lifted up, and then walks in the like. We need something like that of Biden.
I mean,
and it's like the CIA being like, "Ooh, he's on the move."
I mean, you could just take Biden's face and put it onto an existing cartoon of Mr. Magoo doing all that stuff, and it would fit fine.
Easter Bunny
I've always been a fan of the ghost handshakes. He turns. Thank you.
It's funny because I feel like I always reference what was it? What was the movie where the person's riding the gravity bomb down? Like as it goes out of the plane or whatever.
Strange Love.
Strange Love,
Yeah.
That's what it kind of feels like, when we're sitting here laughing about what Biden is. We're like, it's so funny, and it's like everything's on fire, and we're just
Right.
laughing about how funny it is. It's like maybe we should be. I don't know. I guess what can you do? You can laugh.
You could laugh
about
or
it.
you cry.
I ain't gonna cry about it.
100%. There's a lot of people that get upset about things that they read and stuff, and it's like, look, you can be angry about it, but it's not going to change it. Like you getting upset about something that you saw on the internet isn't going to change the conditions in the world one bit. And I mean, like, I'm not super stoic, but I do like follow like stoicism pages, and that's one of the things that Stoics talk about. Like, only let the things that you can actually change affect you, and let the things that you can't change, like, just try not to let them ruin your day, because you can't do anything about them.
I think you want to just focus on building your skills, learn some outdoors kind of stuff. I'm not telling you to become a prepper survivalist. I'm saying, learn how to make a fire.
I'm saying become a prepper survivalist. I'm saying with the way things are going, and especially with what the Pope has been saying, especially with the way that everything is moving, become a survivalist.
What did the Pope say?
The Pope said that he had an omen of even greater destruction and dissolution for mankind.
I want to say that I was raised Catholic, and as far as I know, Catholics getting omens is some demonic kind of stuff that is like heresy, or like that's blasphemy. I don't think that Catholics are supposed to be getting omens. That's like,
this is
messages.
the LGBTQ woke pro-immigration Pope as well.
Well, that's a weird Catholic, but
Woke Pope.
Yeah, he's the woke Pope. So, but again, I don't think his assessment is wrong, especially if you look at how international relations are shaping up, especially when you look at the larger financial picture, especially when you look at the overall health and population decline and crash that's coming. I think he's absolutely right on the money, saying you guys should prepare, you guys should be smart, you guys should be making moves in your life where you're becoming the strongest, best versions of yourselves, because you will be tested. And hard times are ahead of us. There's no denying this, because we are having too many weak men creating really bad times. Those bad times are going to be upon us very soon.
Have you guys watched the show The Peripheral?
I have.
So it's like they call it the jackpot, when all of the problems that everyone's talking about happen all at once, basically over the span of a few years. And I think they were saying like it starts in 2028 with the Texas secessionist movement or something. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they're being inspired by the news and stuff we're seeing today, but it was interesting to see nonetheless that maybe there's some kind of potential there, that the fourth turning suggests 2028 is the crescendo or whatever. It may be 2026, because 2028 is when it's supposed to stop or something like that, or who knows? I don't know if those predictions are completely true. It's just people have ideas. But considering what we're seeing around us, I'm seeing Every so often you'll get some commenter or commentator be like, oh, you know what? I realize things aren't really that bad. And then you see like Project Veritas expose a school for passing around adult toys to children. And then politically people like the school is actively defending it, saying it's okay. And I'm like, all right, that's the demonic stuff. Because when you're at the point where the school is like, you know what? We're not even going to try and hide it anymore. We're going to outright just offend it. Outright defend it. It's like, we're off the line. We're over the cliff. We are free falling at this point. So I don't feel like 2026 is too big an ask to say that's when things pop up. I'm not saying literally ask. I'm saying it's not too far-fetched to believe.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, I started my own prepper apocalypse class online. I started doing them in New Hampshire, and a lot of people were really interested in it because I think, even if it's not, political disasters, I mean, the chances of natural disasters are also out there. The chances of just something bad happening is always out there, no matter what. Being prepared for it makes you not only have peace of mind, but also has you ready for almost anything coming your way. And I think this is the kind of mentality that could actually safeguard us a lot of stress, have us not freak out, have us not lose our ish, but also more importantly, go back to nature and understand the importance of personal responsibility, taking care of ourselves and not needing a government to step in and have a food delivery or a water purification delivery system, but having that in place already where if times do get really hard, you won't need more government, you will need more space, you will need more freedom. And I think once we incentivize that and start pushing those larger ideas out there, society by and large will become better because of that.
Well, and that's actually an interesting part of the show, right? Kind of post jackpot. It's massive government control, right? I mean, they're controlling, literally what people think, what happens in society. And to your point on the prepper side, and this is something I've been working on in the state treasurer's office, I'm sure you've seen these MCC codes they're putting in place for credit cards now to be able to track the purchase of guns and ammunition around the country. This is a backdoor national gun registry. Yep. And this was pushed by Elizabeth Warren and the rest. So if you are buying guns right now, pay cash or check. But this is something that we're going to have legislation on in January in West Virginia. Hopefully other states will replicate it. And it's actually not the credit card companies that want to track this. It's the banks. The banks want to track it. And then the banks are going to be able to say, oh, we're going to flag this. So you're going to flag that.
You're saying that I got a Discover card for no reason?
Yeah.
As soon as the news came out that was like Visa and MasterCard, I was like, I'm going to apply for a Discover card. We're going to use it for business stuff. Yeah. And I got one. I got it right here. I'm holding it. I don't want to show it because it's a credit card, obviously.
Yeah. It is, Visa and MasterCard. They're held to the whims of these banks. And it was a big bank in New York that had been pushing this. And it has like some anodyne name. I think it's the International Organization on Standardization or something like that.
One of the good things about the gun culture is the people that tend to be selling guns and firearms and stuff like that. They're usually very open to cash. They're very,
right.
Sometimes they're open to barter even, but definitely open to cash.
Or 3D printed guns. You do it yourself.
That'll work too. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with printing guns, buy the parts that aren't serialized through mail order or whatever, and then when it comes to the actual receiver or whatever,
just make sure, because I think the ATF was cracking down on the what was parts. It called? Well, there was like you can buy a kit where it's like all the stuff that you legally have to have tracked is tracked, and then you can assemble it yourself, but they're like 80% kits or something like that, and then the ATF started claiming that you couldn't do it and started going after people.
You can buy a whole rifle except for the lower receiver, which is the part that's serialized that has the gun. So you have everything, the upper receiver, all of the pins and everything you need. You can buy that without any kind of background check or anything like that. And then you can either print a lower receiver or you can buy
but it depends on what state you're in as well, because there's a lot of state jurisdictions out there
I'm talking about
where you will get in trouble for it. So make sure you always look up the local laws and jurisdictions to make sure that you're not entrapping yourself or your friends or your buddies with some activities that you could be maybe bragging about on social media, which you shouldn't do anyway.
What I was talking about was federal regulation, not state regulation.
Yeah.
So.
And I will point out in the state of West Virginia, there's not too much you can't do.
It's great.
In terms of guns.
Constitutional carry.
Oh, yeah.
Maryland's one of the few states that actually banned flamethrowers. which is insane, which is crazy. And California.
I guess they were worried about, Baltimore and the DC burbs with people walking around with flamethrowers.
And if I understand correctly, the flamethrower in question, the one that Elon was selling or that caused it, was actually the same kind of flamethrower they used for tarring roofs. I guess that you have to have a thing to heat up the tar or something on a roof, and you'll use that to heat it up. So it was an existing tool that Elon just put marketed, and they're like, oh, you can't have that because it's scary to me now.
But, to your point, though, some level of individual, independence out there. I think it is important.
Sure.
We're talking about the banks and tracking the gun purchases. They tried to put into that big bill, Green New Deal 2.0, was that tracking the $600 purchases or greater. And they were going to legislate that. Well, then the Biden administration just turned around and made that a rule.
Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. So that's a rule now. And that is a tremendous amount of oversight. So it was like, okay, we'll take that out of the bill. We'll get the 87,000 new IRS agents into the bill. And now we'll just make it a rule.
So we started that segment talking about a big Easter bunny. And it's a ridiculous segue, but we have this from Vice.com. Elon Musk is now promoting QAnon. They say since 2018, the saying "follow the white rabbit" has become synonymous with QAnon. Musk has tweeted a version of that.
What year?
2018. Is that what I said? So Elon Musk tweeted "follow" and then a bunny emoji. It's an Alice in Wonderland reference.
History started in 2018, though.
Well, of course. Yeah, that's when the simulation began. We just have false memories implanted in us. It's the only explanation. So this is where we're currently at. Let me put it this way. Let this be a tremendous white pill. The media is so desperate, so panicked. The corporate press is so panicked to go after Elon Musk. They have to take this follow and a rabbit emoji, which could be a Matrix reference, and then try and claim he's promoting QAnon.
Oh, dude.
They may as well just say he started Gamergate at this point. Yeah, Gamergate. That was Elon. History started in 2018, like you were saying.
It's like they don't have nothing to attack him on, so they're just starting to make things up out of nowhere to generate clicks.
That is exactly the case.
Think if you're in their position, this is like a nightmare scenario.
Yeah.
Right? It's all, you've seen the Twitter files coming out and all that. It's everything that we knew, but now it's obviously been substantiated through these Twitter files. And I'm sure they are freaking out. Yeah, they're going to throw anything at the wall that can stick.
But does anybody buy this? Just the insanity. Do they all know they're lying? You're like every single one of these Twitter leftists. They're like, yeah, that's right. It's QAnon. They have to know they're lying.
I imagine there's a portion of them that believe it. Just like there are a portion on the right that believe whatever crazy thing, anyone can come up with from the right. But I think mostly it's a functional way to smear Elon Musk. It's just, spaceship man bad.
Right. Now, because of this article, they're going to put in his Wikipedia page. He's a conspiracy theorist who promoted fringe theories, blah, blah, blah.
They'll go ahead and it'll be idea laundering. He puts up the white rabbit. So they say that it's QAnon, and then someone else will say it's QAnon, referencing that, just like they do, idea laundering and reference each other. And then next thing you know, it goes into his Wikipedia, and Elon Musk is then, the QAnon space guy.
That's a great saying. Spaceship man bad.
Spaceship man bad.
I like that. I'm tweeting that.
Take a look at this story. This one's really, really funny. Daily Mail says, breaking news, Twitter has stopped paying rent on San Francisco offices as Elon Musk considers not paying severance to axed employees. Now, when you hear that, you're like, whoa, that's crazy. Let me break it down for you. It says Twitter has allegedly not paid rent on its San Francisco headquarters or offices around the world for weeks. It's been December for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So he hasn't paid rent for weeks. Yeah, because you pay on the 1st.
I haven't either.
Oh, no. I haven't paid my mortgage in a month because it's due at the end of the month. It's like, oh, it's been 3 weeks. This is the level of insanity for smearing Elon.
It doesn't matter if it's news or not. It's just, can we create a narrative that sounds negative?
It's so weird.
It's not that weird if you think, remember the way that anytime a negative headline could be written about Trump, They did the koi pond thing. It's any time you can write a negative headline.
They edited video footage to make that story, right?
Yep.
So the koi pond thing, Trump is hanging out with Shinzo Abe. Abe dumps the food in, and then Trump goes, okay, and then dumps his in as well. But they zoom in so you only see Trump, and then said, haha, what an idiot, he threw all the food in. And then when you look at the unedited video, you can see he was just following Shinzo Abe's lead, and they made up a fake story. But they actually tried to make up some decorum violation. With this, it's just like, he hasn't paid rent in weeks. And they all start saying it. And then I'm seeing this from everybody. They were like, in weeks? Is he doing a weekly lease on his buildings? He pays weekly?
Right.
What's your point? I don't understand.
But Tim, Trump was also bad because he had 2 scoops of ice cream. If you remember that, I mean, that was some serious ethics violations right there. And I think he also walked into some toilet paper. I mean, that's a guy that needs to be stopped.
And he had bigger salt and pepper shakers. Oh, you see that? That's amazing. And there are people who say to this day, Trump never denounced white supremacists and neo-Nazis.
I know that you're right, and it just blows my mind that the video of him saying that is out. It exists. It's out there, and it has been put onto Twitter saying, "Oh, he never condemned them in response so many times," and they still, "Oh, he never did."
There are still people I meet where I say, "Did you know that Joe Biden said if you don't fire the prosecutor, you're not getting $1 billion?" And they go, "That never happened."
That absolutely happened.
It's on video. He says he did it.
It's literally in a like think tank press conference.
Council on Foreign Relations with Richard Haas, the president of the Council on Foreign Relations, sitting there, literally talking to him on record, on video.
And he's like, and people applaud.
But Rachel Maddow said it wasn't real, and so people just believe whatever she says without even bothering to look.
Yeah,
it's a crazy reality, man. It's one of the contributing factors to my simulation theory. There's no way a functioning sentient being would just be like, I don't know if it's true, but it must be.
Do you know who? This is a bit of an off topic, but do you know who Adam and Sitch are? They're YouTubers. They do a stream show. Anyways, they have this. They talk about this idea that most people basically have the existence of like an elephant and a rider, and the elephant is your emotion, and the rider is kind of your brain that like makes the actual decisions. The rider can't really control. Is still going to do what it wants to do. The fight or flight, like you can think, but if you're scared, you're going to fight or flight. The guy on top thinks he's in charge, but he's not really. He's the rider. He's actually kind of just the PR department explaining, rationalizing what the elephant did. So really, most of our life is our cognitive ability rationalizing the emotional reactions that we have. That's like most of the stuff that we, most of our behavior all the time.
Here's the crazy thing about this story is that 20 years ago, it would all just be true. You'd have no way of checking it. A newspaper would write, Elon Musk promotes fringe conspiracy theory. And then you'd be like, must be true.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's right. You mentioned Rachel Maddow, and we did talk about body doubles. Is Chris Hayes her body double?
No,
Yes.
Michael Knowles'.
Okay.
We actually have
Smoky Mike, right?
Smoky Mike. We
Smoky Mike.
have drawings of all of our guests, and so when Michael Knowles came, Jessica, our artist here, drew Rachel Maddow first.
Yeah.
And so we're like, here, when you sign this picture of you, and he hands it, he started laughing because it's a picture of Rachel. He signed it. We have it on the wall. And then we're like, no, wait, there's a real one. Sign the real picture. The real picture is good. Yeah. But I am proud to say that MSNBC is rated as fake news by NewsGuard.
I am not surprised at all, and they should be. Absolutely.
And I will say, I know it's not a silver bullet, but when you're visiting your family for Christmas or whatever, you can at the very least pull up on a browser, or if I don't know if there's a mobile app, and be like, guys, I don't know what you believe or why. I'm not going to argue with you. I just want you to know that NewsGuard says MSNBC is beware, it's fake news. Okay? And they're going to go, yeah, well, so is Fox News. And you can go, yeah, I don't know, whatever. I'm just telling you, you guys are watching weird conspiracy garbage. I'm not here to tell you what's right or wrong. I'm telling you, be careful with the weird conspiracy stuff you're watching. I was telling a friend of mine, he was like, my family just watches all this MSNBC and CNN. And I was like, here's what you do. When you're talking, you say, I don't know about all that political stuff. If they start bringing it up, and be like, guys, you're listening to Alex Jones and all this stuff. And when they invariably get really, really angry because they hate Jones, what you're trying to do is conflate in their mind what they think of as conspiracy in a way they understand it, and accusing them of doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
So you just, like, I would play it off like, look, I don't know Rachel Jones or whatever. It's that weird conspiracy garbage you're watching on the TV. There's that News Guard thing. They said it was conspiracy stuff, and you're watching it, and then let them get all flustered and just be like, I don't know. You guys go watch your weird alien stuff, your lizard people stuff. I'm not interested.
It makes me wish I had in-laws to go and upset.
And then, and then when no one's watching, no one paying attention, secretly put on "Died Suddenly" and then act like you didn't do it yourself. But more importantly, especially with the holiday season, I think we should expand on this topic just a little bit before continuing on the conversation here. But I think if you truly do want to understand somebody, you got to do it from an empathetic kind of way. You got to kind of understand where they're coming from. You got to kind of listen to them, and then you could formulate a kind of response there, taking some time. But you could only open the door. You could only, put out the water. The horse has to drink it themselves. So I think that's my 2 cents when it comes to dealing with family members who don't see eye to eye with you. Empathy and understanding goes a long way. Also, just listening to people goes a very long way, and then you could understand why people believe a certain idea. A lot of it is usually based on fear. A lot of it is usually based on kind of instincts and emotions, as you were mentioning, and not logical thinking. And if you could calm down the emotions, and you could not have that kind of aggressive stance, and you could just say, hey, let's actually reassess this maybe at a different time, or hey, I don't know what to think about this. What do you think about this? And giving people that kind of information that way could be a lot more conducive towards waking people up towards the true reality of this world, rather than the conceived closed notion that, of course, the government wants them to have.
There's a new song out by Paramore, and it's called The News. And in it, Haley Williams is singing "Turn Off the News" over and over again. My first reaction to hearing it was kind of like, what? And then I went, yeah, she's right. Yeah, I get it. Like, we're the news too. I get it. But there are a lot of people who don't understand what they're listening to and are being told a whole bunch of weirdo nonsense garbage. Rachel Maddow did this segment where she was like, the Russians could turn off the electricity, the heat in Fargo and, kill people. And it's like, yeah, they could, but there's like no reason to believe that's actually going to happen right now. Like, why are you, look, here's what I do. And we're not perfect. Like I said, we're the news too. And so people watch this stuff, but we pull up news stories about things that happened and then talk about them. What shows like Maddow does is she speculates and then just pushes whatever fringe theory, like the P-tape stuff, or she like Russiagate nonsense.
Yeah, but then also comes to a conclusion on it.
Right, exactly.
Like her own, well, here's the truth. I'm going to tell you, here's the conclusion on this.
Oh, and she's lied so much, like that viral video of her talking about vaccines and transmission. Yeah. When she's like, it stops with you. It's like, you made that up. You literally made that up. Like there was, you know what, man? They all made it up.
I don't think that Maddow made that up. I think that Maddow just repeated, which is probably worse, but she just repeated what she was told, because there was absolutely no interest in finding out if what we were told was true. It was just, this is what the CDC says, then that is what must be the truth. There was no room for argument or debate about it. So if you push back on things like, oh, the virus stops with you once you're vaccinated. If you push back on that, I mean, you remember what
it's the craziest thing now. So this is another thing I was telling my friend. I was like, you don't want to get into an argument with them, because like you're here for the holidays, be with your family. You know what I mean? If they want to press it, you got to be very, very light with it.
Yeah.
And I would say, if that stuff comes up, just show them a New York State judge said this does not stop transmission. You don't got to talk about hearings and theories and the EU stuff. You'd be like, I don't know, there was a judge in New York and there's official ruling. I don't know. Do you guys follow the science? That's what I like saying. Do you follow the science? Because the science is here. You can read it if you want.
I mean, in terms of what drives their news, and like you said, they all kind of get the same talking points and memo. There's no easier job in Washington, D.C. than being a Democrat press secretary, especially if you're the White House president. It's like, here's the talking points. Go forth. And they just cut and paste it and stick it out there, and that drives the narrative. No harder job than being a Republican press secretary, because you got to convince. And I mean, but the Democrats, I mean, pretty sweet gig. It's not bad.
Swimming up.
Let's talk about Kari Lake, because I wanted to talk. We got a bunch of stories to go through, but considering we're still on the political angle, let's talk about Kari Lake. We have this story from AZ Central. What's next for Lake Fincham election lawsuits? Hobbs's lawyer calls challenges baseless. So Kari Lake filed a lawsuit contesting the results of the election. A judge today called an emergency hearing. They had their emergency hearing. The defense, which is Maricopa County Board of Supervisors, it's Katie Hobbs, Democrats basically, said that they're going to file a motion to dismiss, but the judge in the case set a trial date for, I believe, let me see, I think I have the tweet actually, if we have it. There we go. Trial set for the 21st and the 22nd. This is kind of crazy, and it's unfortunate it's going to be happening over the holiday weekend, but this could be big. So here's the difference between this and Donald Trump's 2020 stuff. With Arizona, you have a lawsuit from Kari Lake that points out, well, or they make the claim, there are 25,000 ballots that came in after Election Day, and that's greater than the margin of victory. They want an evidentiary hearing. I don't know how how's the judge going to say no standing? He's going to say, okay, show me the proof you have of this claim. They're going to file a motion to dismiss. It very well may get dismissed. I don't know. The difference between this and Trump, to expand upon that, is with a lot of the lawsuits that were filed in 2020, the amount of votes that were being challenged would not have overcome the victory margin. So the courts were just like, it wouldn't matter if it happened anyway, so there's no point. With Kari Lake, 17,000 votes. So if they can present a variety of claims that are more than 17,000, and you do have, in Maricopa County, they said, when the voting machines malfunctioned, 17,000 people had to vote by this ballot box. That's at bare minimum, I think, enough to get, well, I don't know. I mean, like if you were being an honest judge, you'd be like, okay, we have to have a review of that. If 17,000 ballots were affected by the machines not working, and that's the margin of victory, we got to do a review of those ballots. Otherwise, the election is people are going to contest it or whatever. But I think it's interesting nonetheless. I don't know what you guys think. My opinion is kind of that I'm not convinced Kari Lake going to be able to overcome the swamp machine. So
I don't think that I think that as much as she is going to fight tooth and nail, because that's probably her personality, I don't think that it's likely that she's going to be able to overcome the fact that it was already certified, even though the certification was, dubious because what's her name shouldn't be certifying.
Yeah, Hobbs is the Secretary of State.
The Secretary of State should not be certifying their own election at all. So that right there is dubious.
But PolitiFact says it's totally normal.
Oh yeah, I think that it's a conflict of interest. I think on its face, but I think that I don't think that any of that stuff matters anymore. I've lost a lot of faith in the electoral process. So we'll see what happens.
I'm glad that she's filed suit. I'm glad that she's pursuing it, and I think the judge absolutely should move. This should go beyond a motion to dismiss.
I mean, you go back to the 2000 election, right? Mm-hmm. And we didn't have that result that night, and everyone's freaking out. How do we not know who the president is? Now with these drop-off ballots, mail-in ballots, ballot harvesting, all this. I mean, election results taking weeks sometimes. Yeah. It is not instilling confidence in the system whatsoever. And then also the question I'd want to know is, how do they determine when and which ballots are getting cast? I mean, is that kind of tip the scales a little bit because maybe somebody calls a race early? I don't know. But that you have so many ballots sitting out there, I mean, days and sometimes weeks after, it really puts pressure on the system, and I think it ruins confidence out there in elections. Democrats
completely broke the system. Establishment Republicans in many places helped, but the idea that we're having election month, and sometimes even election double month, election 2 month, because they're doing a month early and then a month after to count. Okay, look, man, if we're going to have a functioning system, there have to be rules. You can't just be like the Democrat position and the leftist position is count all of the votes. And it's like, no. You count the votes in the allotted time period. And if you can't, then you've got to build a more robust system to do so. We have election day. The Constitution prescribes for election day. We can't be playing these games where it's like, well, we'll give it an extra week. No, you don't give it an extra week.
Principally, I agree with both of you. That's what I would like to see. I think the realities on the ground are
ballot
going
harvesting
to prevent that. I think that it's going to have to be ballot harvesting. I think it's going to have to be the conservatives are going to have to react to the reality of what elections are now. And you were talking earlier about, people being confident in elections and stuff. I think those days are long past. Like the days of Americans saying, oh yeah, generally we feel good about our elections. Those are relics of an old time, homie. That stuff is gone. That was gone it was probably gone in 2000, and we didn't realize it until 16.
I blame YouTube largely.
Think so?
Oh, definitely. Look, you had half the country voting one guy, half the country voting one guy, or whatever you want to break it down. And then people have questions about what happened. They have ideas. They have complaints. And then YouTube says, we're only going to allow one side of the debate.
Oh.
And so what happened then is that large group of people who believed in Trump left the platform and stopped communicating with the other side. Not by choice. They were forced off. YouTube made sure, and maybe it's on purpose, maybe they want everything to implode, or maybe they're just really dumb. But by segmenting people in that way, you guarantee they entrench their views, never have a conversation, it never develops, and then confidence will never come back. Never. This is what I was when I was talking to Jack and Vidya. I said, if you keep doing what you're doing, it's going to result in some kind of conflict or civil war or something. You cannot have two people in an argument, separate them, and tell them to keep arguing about how bad the other side is, but only among themselves. Mm-hmm. That is how you entrench tribalism, and it results in otherism. That's where we're at.
And you radicalize people that way.
Exactly.
And you don't bring the country together. You separate people and you perpetuate a divide and conquer agenda, which I believe has been festered and organized deliberately, but that's just my kind of consensus and understanding of the situation. But I do want to add to your point, Tim, especially when it comes to big tech social media, because overwhelmingly 18 to 30-year-olds voted for the Democratic Party. I do believe that's because of institutions like TikTok, like Twitter, like Google, like Facebook, like Instagram, that of course have been prioritizing particular viewpoints that benefit them with the political party that benefits them, and censoring the other political parties that don't benefit them, that do want to have some kind of accountability when it comes to these bigger institutions. But I think Florida here, and shouts out to the governor of Florida. He's making some very bold and brave actions today. But I think when we're looking at Florida, there are a lot of lessons to be learned about the way that they handled their elections, their rules. And they also Ron DeSantis specifically made sure that Florida would not be affected by the Zuckerbucks, as he called it, as Mark Zuckerberg was financing hundreds of millions of dollars into the voting effort, which predominantly helped Democrats get more voters. He made sure a lot of that money didn't reach Florida. It didn't, and I think it had an impact with Florida becoming so red.
Yeah, and you knew that result that night. You knew the election results in Florida that night.
50 years ago, we would know the results on day one, and now it takes days and weeks. How's that possible? How is that possible?
Let's see, who is this? Marty Smith, fan super chatted saying in AZ, you can't file a dispute until certification. So after Katie Hobbs certifies, then Kari Lake immediately launches the lawsuit, and they made a lot. There's a lot of interesting claims made in the lawsuit, but people need to understand, in a lawsuit you can claim anything you want, so it's got to be adjudicated. It's not likely, in my opinion, that Kari Lake just made things up, because then you get to an evidentiary hearing, you're like, oh, that's not true, we made it up. They're going to be like, okay, then you lose. Mm-hmm. So I'm willing to bet they have something to present. I'd like to see it. I think what's likely is the judge is just going to be like, I'm too scared of the far left, so I'm not going to actually, let a real fair hearing take place. But who knows? The judge called an emergency hearing and said, we're doing this. They have till Thursday. Thursday is when their motion to dismiss is due. Then Kari Lake gets a response on Saturday. Then the defendants get a response on Sunday. And then on Monday, the judge will have a hearing. And then the trial date is the 21st and 22nd. So this is crazy. I think he has 10 days to issue a ruling on this, or something, like some ridiculously small amount of time. Mm-hmm. And it's very, very difficult to go through all this. It was funny. The Hobbs defense team was like, we only needed a half an hour to argue to dismiss this. And then Kari Lake's team was like, no, we need more time than that. And the judge was like, what about an hour each? It's like, I think that they're going to want to present a lot of stuff, but we'll see.
I just also don't understand how, like this podcast, people watch it all over the world. Here we are in this room, they watch it all over the world. We don't have voting machines that work. Like, why do they keep having problems with voting machines?
They can figure out who, we had that Powerball that was like a $2 billion or whatever it was.
Right.
And there are like hundreds of millions of tickets sold, and they know instantly who won.
Yeah. Yes.
Now with these elections, though, man, but to be fair on that point, it's because everyone's fighting. The real battle is, man, if you thought elections were won based on how many votes someone got, it's very naive of you. Elections are won based on the ground game. It's won based on the laws. It's won based on like so many components of this. Signature verification, mail-in ballots. You know, when the ballots come in, they got to check signatures.
Yeah.
That changes the way, you know, it's like Joe Biden said. It's not about how many votes you get, it's about who counts the vote.
Was that Joe Biden or was it Joe Stalin?
It was both.
Okay.
It literally was both of them.
Yeah, it actually was both. Yeah.
It was both. So here we are. This is the current state, I guess. You know, a lot of people, I don't think, care too much about I don't think as many people are following this because the midterms have come and gone and everyone's kind of zoned out, like exhausted from it. But while I'm not confident for Kari Lake, and I'm a big fan, I want her to win, I do think it would be really interesting if she actually does win a stay at the very least.
Yeah.
And then come January 2nd, they're like, oh, we can't bring in, you know, Hobbs as governor because of the stay issued by a court.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see it just because I'd like to see the non-establishment candidates win because I think the establishment needs some refreshing of ideology, I suppose. But yeah, I just don't see her pulling it off. I don't see the powers that be in Arizona. You know.
Well, I think maybe we're a bit pessimistic because of what we've seen in the past. But
I'm fully
Kari Lake's fighting, and so I'm rooting for her.
I'm rooting for her too.
All I want to see is the judge say, show me the evidence. And then if they present bunk garbage or it's weak and the judge says, I'm sorry, it's not enough, then I'm going to say, well, okay, I guess. But it needs to get to that point because we haven't seen that with these other lawsuits.
Yeah.
They just said, no standing, get out.
Yeah, they just get thrown out. I mean, this one needs to go the distance. And look, transparency is a good thing. That instills confidence. Let's have some transparency in this and see actually what happened to those 17,000 ballots, why the machines weren't working, perhaps, what happened to those ballots.
They said they were all counted.
Yeah. Well, I want to know that they were all counted.
Right. They should do. They should go through and signature verify whatever. And I'll put it this way too. Let's say you operate on the assumption that Kari Lake is just totally wrong. Then here's your opportunity to prove it and rub it in her face.
Well, and the annoying thing is that because you're going through this process or you believe this process should happen, the left is like, election denier, y'all are election deniers. It's like, no, what we want, this is a good thing, right? However, it turns out this is a good thing that could perhaps instill a little bit more confidence in the electoral process, hopefully.
Yeah, as much as the left says, that that election denial is bad and blah, 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 they're doing everything they can to make sure that their opposition doesn't have any faith in the election. They're throwing out all kinds of court cases saying without standing they never get in front of a judge. They have all they're saying that if you deny the election or if you ask for verification, it's election denying. They're doing everything they can to make people feel like the elections should be suspect.
Yeah, well, this is what the left does with everything, right? It's their solution is always worse than the problem, right? So people had, there's voter suppression and people don't have confidence in elections. So now we're going to have elections last for a month, right? And it's just made
it worse.
It just made things even worse. I mean, it's like when they raise taxes, it's like, well, then we'll just come up with more taxes and we'll fix it.
Well, let's see what happens on next Monday is when they're going to be, I guess the judge will issue a ruling, but then 8 days from now, 21st and 22nd, is the trial date. If it makes it that far, should be very interesting. Let's jump to this story from Timcast.com. Printful cuts ties with gays against groomers. Group seeks legal action claiming defamation. Quote, we are looking into all of our options with our attorney, Ron Coleman, and intend to pursue legal action.
Hey, Ron.
You ready for this one? All right. Gays Against Groomers. This is an organization of LGBTQ people who oppose groomers. Anyone of any background who targets children to groom them. All right, here's the best part. Printful, on Sunday, who produced merchandise for the organization, suspended business with Gays Against Groomers to, quote, mitigate the risk of being affiliated with an organization that doesn't represent our company values. We do our best to remain neutral and respect freedom of speech. Yet we draw the line at content that foments hatred towards any person or group, reads an email. Let me break that down for you. Printful is explicitly saying on the issue of pedophilia, they are neutral and don't want to be associated with an organization that would disparage pedophiles.
Oops.
Hey, didn't Michael Jordan say that groomers buy sneakers too? Right? Am I getting that wrong? I might be getting that wrong.
I think
but hey, you know,
an error in
they're
there
trying to tighten the market on the groomer market. It's a pretty big market out there, especially with Balenciaga and their marketing campaign, especially with the FBI and, you know, protecting Epstein for over 30 years, ditching the victims to the side. I mean, hey, this is a business trying to make money here, and let's call us, you know, a spade here. They want groomer money and they want to support.
Hold, you said it right there. Hold on a minute.
Yeah.
You know, imagine you make T-shirts, right? And you got these really wealthy individuals like Epstein and his clients. You don't want to lose those people. You know, so Printful is upset that...
Yikes.
But look, we keep giving the benefit of the doubt whenever stories like this happen, and we're like, oh, they probably just assume Gays Against Groomer is anti-LGBTQ or something. And I'm like, no, you can't do that here. The organization is called Gays Against Groomers. Yeah. It's literally like people who are LGBTQ being like, pedophiles are bad. And they're like, you're inciting hatred against them, so we're going to be neutral on this one. Okay, Printful. Like Luke said, go hang out with Balenciaga, see how that's doing. See how it's working out for them.
I mean, they only got a yay supporting Balenciaga. I don't know anyone else is supporting them. Seriously,
he still does wear Balenciaga,
and he made statements in favor of them recently. But other than that, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that a lot of people weren't happy with the way that they handled their marketing, and I think this is pretty obvious. I mean, the organization's name is Gays Against Groomers, and you're getting rid of their ability to sell merchandise because you don't agree with them. Their main thing that they do is that they're pushing against groomers, against people who hurt children. You're saying we don't like that. Yeah, we're neutral on that issue.
They try to pretend like it's not a real thing. It is absolutely a real thing. And you've seen them try to change the language and the narrative in academia, right? I'm sure you've heard of the acronym now. They use
minor.
Yes, MAPS, right?
So there's another statement. They said, we suspended Gays Against Groomers because the underlying homophobic and transphobic misinformation spread by this organization does not align with our values of respect and inclusion. Let us be clear that we do not condone child abuse or the grooming of minors. We will not work with an organization that spreads harmful accusations against the LGBTQ plus community under the guise of protecting children. You see what they're doing? Even if you are LGBTQ and you explicitly are just like, hey, it's the grooming of a problem with, they accuse you of being homophobic and transphobic. It's like, yo, they're literally gay. So let me show you something funny. Media Matters put out this thing. It's the retweets and mentions
Media Matters.
Right-wing figures, anti-LGBTQ tweets and accounts before and after Musk acquired Twitter. Yeah, I'm number one. You can see Tim Pool right up top. I have 20,261 retweets that mention groomer, 31,153 mentions of the word groomer. What they don't tell you in this is that the tweets in question are me saying, quote, groomer does not refer to LGBTQ people. So I have like 3 tweets that got like tens of thousands of retweets or whatever, specifically saying that. They then take it and call that anti-LGBTQ because they're lying and manipulating. And for some reason, I just don't know why, Media Matters really wants people to believe that LGBTQ people are pedophiles. Now, I don't know why they would do that, but let me give you a really good example. Blair White is on the list. Blair White responded with like the clownery of me being on this list. Blair White is trans. This is absolutely insane. And Gays Against Groomers is number 3. I just want to send my condolences to Jack Posobiec for being number 2. Sorry, Jack. There's a new game in town.
That's the first loser, right? Second place?
That's right, Jack. Second place is the first loser. But it's ridiculous.
I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous. It's literally, considering the fact that it's Gays Against Groomers, they're essentially saying that it's not about LGBT, it's about the left. And we're using LGBT people as a way to push forward our leftist agenda, not specifically the things that the LGBT people want, because gays against groomers are obviously LGBT and have a different political perspective. It's just that the left has taken on the mantle of LGBT, and anything that the LGBT lobby does is always the left. It's always associated with the left, or what the left wants.
I love simulism. Elon Musk was talking about simulation theory on stage, I guess, when he was getting booed or something. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you why, because I kind of have to just believe, I'm half kidding, by the way, that when I come out, and every statement I've given on this, every video I've done explicitly is about how groomer does not mean LGBTQ. But they keep saying it does. Yeah. They have to just be a bunch of like mobs, non-player characters roaming around randomly on the hillside, controlled by no one. Because like, I don't know how we're at the point where I go, oh, the word groomer doesn't in any way refer to LGBTQ people. They just immediately go, why are you calling gay people pedophiles? And I'm like, well, I literally just said the opposite. What are you talking about? That's where we're at right now. So look, in all reality, it's a cult, but it's hard for me to believe that even in a cult, they can hear you say, the sky is blue, and then they go, the sky's not green. And I didn't say it was. Where are you getting these ideas from? That's where we're at right now. How you solve for that, I have no idea. Maybe it's not even solvable.
I'm sure they've gone out and polled it and realized that we're on the right side of it. And, they're like, oh, we got to stop this. I mean, to me, it's just, you go back to when Trump saying fake news, fake media back 2016, 15, and they were like, this is made up. No, we're very, very on. And it turns out, of course, yes, there is fake news. That is a real thing. And
Chris Cillizza, are you familiar with the name Chris Cillizza?
He got fired from CNN.
He has an immortal tweet, or a tweet that was immortalized. He one time tweeted, I'm going to say again for the 1,000th time or whatever, the media doesn't pick a side. And that tweet, and it has been, I have gotten a whole lot of mileage out of that bad boy. Let me tell you, I got that saved in my phone.
Yeah.
And that thing has allowed me to perform some fun dunks. But it's true. Like, the media narrative is unquestionably a leftist narrative. There's no more room for denying it or arguing it. The Overton window of acceptable argument or acceptable debate has been set by the left, and anyone that steps outside of it is looked at as, untouchable. And the goal of the left is a whole cultural revolution in the United States. Like, are you familiar with James Lindsay? Mm-hmm. So I'm totally, I'm right on the same page with that guy. James Lindsay, Chris Rufo, those guys really have their finger right on the pulse of the real heart of the problem. And the heart of the problem is that schools have been infiltrated by left-leaning people that have an ideology that they are using in education. And it's the schools of education. So it's not just your colleges, where kids are going. It's the schools that teach teachers. So these teachers that are coming out of the schools of education are indoctrinated into an ideology that they cannot even see. They are unaware that they are indoctrinated in it. They are completely unaware that they have been taken and given a framework to look at the world that is like putting on racism colored glasses or sexism colored glasses. Essentially, they're oppression colored glasses. And all they see in the whole world is oppression. And when you teach kids through a lens of oppression, you psychologically damage them, because young people should not be shown the world as a place that is full of oppression. Even if that's the case, that you can say, look, there's all kinds of different ways that people are oppressed, you don't tell 7-year-olds, because that emotionally damages them, and they become they get depressed, and there's all kinds of horrible things. And you're seeing it in the levels of depression in young people nowadays. You've got so many people on SSRIs. It's because of the way that kids are taught in schools, and it's because of a left-leaning.
I'll give you a great example today. Today, I was at a high school giving an award to a teacher that actually cared, who's doing a great job in her school. And I walk into the school. Before I get in, I walk through the parking lot, and not really any bumper stickers on the cars, except for 2 of them. And 2 of those cars, parked right next to each other, both had Bernie Sanders stickers. these kind of real left-wing slogans on it. And it's like, seriously?
What were the slogans?
I can't remember.
How left-wing? Because some left-wing slogans are slogans like, everybody deserves health care. And then there are other left-wing slogans like liberals get the bullet too.
Yeah.
So those
or
they're
bring
very
back Che.
different.
It wasn't that left-wing, but it was, you got Bernie on there. And then just this last week, I
think they're all that left-wing at the end of the day, though, is my point. Because it's a religion at the end of the day.
So I had a concerned group of parents came to me. Wood County, West Virginia, that's out in Parkersburg. And they said, and this is a very conservative county, they said, you won't believe what our children have access to. They showed me this material, all the children, and so it's something actually very, very similar to this. So
he's pointing to the
probably
book
actually is that book.
Yes, I think actually. Let me see.
Look inside. It's got the pictures.
Yeah. That's it.
That's the one.
That's the book, and that's the book that they have access to. And these parents, their children, because we were living in COVID and all that, people got iPads and all that, and that's how they were accessing books. And it's on the accessible reading list through the library for elementary school children. Elementary school children have access to this. I mean, what in the hell is going on here?
I can tell you.
And this is Wood County, West Virginia, which tells you it's probably happening all over the state. But it's just absolutely shocking stuff.
Tim, did you have something you wanted to say, or did?
I just want to. I'm pretty sure that YouTube age restricted the Project Veritas video from the Chicago teacher, which is kind of ironic since YouTube doesn't think it's okay for small children to watch when it literally happens to small children. Which is absolutely mind-boggling.
Well, it's like when the parents came in and said, "I'm going to read you from this book." Start reading stuff, and then they're like, "Hey, you can't say that here. Order. If you keep talking, we'll kick you out." And they're like, "What? You made my kids read this book."
Yeah. The whole point of that is because it's as much as there are people that are worried about the LGBT issues, the LGBT issues in that are really a tertiary topic. The point is to make revolutionaries, to make kids that are unhappy with the way society is, because the Marxists call it cultural hegemony, right? It's the society remakes the society. So when you have kids that go to school that learn how to be good Americans, they go and they come out of school and they go into jobs and they become good Americans, and they make more kids that go to schools that learn how to be good Americans. What the left wants to do is get into the schools and stop having those kids that go in come out as good Americans. They want at least a portion of them to come out as radical leftist revolutionaries. And if you get a portion of them to come out like that, all you have to do is get a third or 10% or 20% of the population to be really, really upset, and that can uproot a whole civilization. And that's the goal. The goal is a revolution, and anyone that tells you anything different is lying to you.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if this is in this book or not, but part of the material they brought, it's like two young guys, and here's how you satisfy your partner. And I mean, literally.
Yeah, but that just sows discord. Like I said, what's going on in there, the sexual stuff, that's tertiary.
Yeah, that's
right.
The point is the discord. The point is the fact that they're revolutionary. The point is they don't fall into categories that you would consider normal. They're not hegemonic categories. They become revolutionary. They're somehow subversive or whatever.
Exactly,
and if you can subvert the whole society, or if you can subvert a portion of the society to the point that they will foment a revolution, then you can uproot capitalism. Correct. Right, you can get rid of capitalism. You can get rid of what they would call hierarchies that are unfair, oppressive hierarchies, and the whole intent is to throw the whole system over and destroy it all, because they think that the system is illegitimate. They think capitalism, they think that owning property, they think that the reason that they're against free speech is because they don't believe that there is free speech. They believe that you're only trying to use speech as a way to exercise power.
Right. Well, look, and I do know people in West Virginia listen to this. We're fixing this next month in the legislature, so just hang tight.
I hope you're right, because this is James Lindsay. Like I said, I think he's on the right track, and if he is right, a cultural revolution in the United States, like the one that happened in China, it's going on right now. and kids are attacking their parents, and you see, you've got videos of kids screaming on college campuses, screaming at the teachers. That's the same thing that happened in China.
You see that woman who was at her dad's funeral or whatever, and
Yes.
attacking him?
Horrifying, but yes.
And it's the exact opposite of honor thy father and thy mother.
100%.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, in West Virginia, I run what's called the Hope Scholarship. So that's an educational savings account. And that has allowed kids to take their parents, their version of taxpayer dollars and use it outside of the public school system. It's educational freedom. In West Virginia, we also allow families to use that for homeschoolers. So homeschoolers can also it's their tax dollars. Let them use it and educate their children how they want to. And that is a way that we're able to get some of our kids here in the near future away from this stuff and get back control over this.
Homeschooling is key. It's very important, and millions of Americans are starting to do this.
You're right about homeschooling. I hate to throw water on what you were saying, but the video that Veritas just put up, that's a private school.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but this is why we have homeschool as a part of it.
Homeschool is important. Homeschool, because then I fully agree. with that.
And we have a huge homeschool population in West Virginia, and it was very controversial, particularly with the teachers' unions, including homeschool students in this, but it is part of it. We also have a legislation that's under my purview also. So we got micropods, we have learning pods, and so you can get groups of homeschool kids come together and use what's called the Hope Scholarship, their tax dollars to be able to educate themselves free of all of this, and just parents coming together in what used to happen in this country in a very traditional manner, trying to get back to those things. I mean, the cultural left constantly wants to have a revolution every 5 years of what is a norm in this country, when to me, a lot of people are like, well, I'm a conservative. It's like, well, if you're conservative, what are you trying to conserve?
There was a point someone brought up on the show a while ago that the fact that our lives are dramatically different from our grandparents is unique to this time period.
Yeah.
And for all of human history, you and your grandparents had basically the exact same kind of life. It was population growth was stagnant. Your grandfather farmed, you farmed. Your grandfather was a blacksmith, you blacksmith. You very much live the same life now. With the rapid advancement of technology and energy technologies, our lives are completely different.
And culturally, though, Tim, there's a thing. It's called transmission, right? And it happens through generational things. Your parents have taught you, their parents taught them, and there's transmission of those norms, values, things like that. That each family has different norms, cultures, and values that they hold dear. That's all been blown up, right? I mean, to your point, this has all been destroyed, and it gets leveled out like every 5 years, and it gets lower and lower and lower the level that we're at.
Yeah. To continue the conversation about schooling, I think there's a reason David Rockefeller influenced our modern education system, which is really an indoctrination system. And now that he's no longer here with us, other individuals have kind of taken his mantle and are also influencing education. Those individuals are individuals like Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, that have spent hundreds of millions of dollars on new experimental education that has lowered reading levels, made students less intelligent as they're promoting more woke doctrines and equity. These are literally the policies that are being influenced right now by a lot of very powerful individuals setting up this education system, which is not really educating people at all, just indoctrinating them into the woke cult.
Yeah.
Well, let me.
And if you, sorry, just real quick though, you look at those national test scores, they are freaking abysmal. They are awful. I mean, it cannot get any worse. Well, I guess it could get worse, but this is the lowest it's been in decades. It is awful. And that is, I do want to point this out. If I am elected to Congress, if I get in, I'm going to be pushing for national school choice, just like we have in West Virginia. Give people back control of their tax dollars to be able to educate their families, homeschool or otherwise. Somebody said to me the other day, wouldn't that destroy the Department of Education? I said, yes, exactly.
You should, like,
See Thomas Massey.
I am fully for the abolition of, like, cabinet level bureaucracies. Get rid of the Department of Education.
You look at it since Jimmy Carter put it in, it's just gotten worse and worse and worse.
Preach. Preach.
Let's jump to this story. We have this from CNN. U.S. lawmakers introduce bill to ban TikTok. They say Senator Marco Rubio, the top Republican on the Senate Intelligence Committee, and a bipartisan pair of congressmen in the House reflects the latest escalation by U.S. policymakers against the Chinese-owned short-form video app TikTok has faced doubts about its ability to safeguard U.S. user data from the Chinese government. I'm pretty sure it just sends your data to the Chinese government, doesn't it?
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
And do you think it should be banned?
I do think it should be banned. And you've seen this with Huawei. Huawei's made entrance into a lot of developed countries. It's been proven time and time again that they are spying on them. They're collecting data. This is exactly what TikTok is doing. We need to be very clear that China is our greatest adversary in the world. We do know that, right? And I think we need to be acting as such.
What should we do about TikTok? Ban it? Get rid of it?
Well, essentially, they're doing what the DHS and NSA are doing here domestically inside of the United States. I think the bigger answer would be to make people aware that everything they do online isn't private. Everything is being collected. There's entire data centers that the United States is financing through your tax dollars that literally create personality traits about who you are, what you're going to be doing. And
Zuckerberg knows when you poop.
Exactly. And that's the lowest level of it.
But it's not just about that. It's about how TikTok is feeding all this woke stuff. So we're talking about what's going on in schools. TikTok is a huge component of crushing the brains of young people in this country.
Yes, exactly. Look at Chinese TikTok versus U.S. TikTok, right?
Right.
I mean, it's incredibly different, the type of algorithm that's being pushed here in the United States. It's trying to be culturally destructive. It's trying to be divisive. I think it is a huge problem. I do.
Tax the e-thoughts.
Yeah.
The IRS is already doing that.
That's the crazy thing, too, that we've talked about with, like, Instagram. Somebody was mentioning how they searched for, I can't remember what they're talking about. You search for anything on Instagram, and it's going to be some kind of sexualized content with women and, like...
Rule 34.
No, I guess, but, like, not creating porn, but, like... You will just search for, action sports or something, and then they will find a way to feed, or I should say, young women are finding a way to make content seem sexual because it gets them clicks. The algorithm is generating this. Then you have OnlyFans. That's the direction we're going. All of these things are just components in it all falling apart.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
well, it goes back to that generational transmission, too. I mean, if we were transmitting values, norms, generationally to Zillennials and everybody else now, would they be doing those things? I'm not exactly sure now. Nope. We're like in a society of me, and that's kind of what drives all of this.
It's crazy, man. I'm reading some of these stories. There was like some woman accused of murder, and she's like, she's going to pay her bail with OnlyFans money. And I'm like, that's just so crazy. These stories about women who are like millionaires now. Mm-hmm. They figured it out. Just get naked on the internet and there's money waiting, but it doesn't work for everybody.
Ladies, secure your bag. All right? That being said, it is probably not a good idea to have an OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Think about where we end up in 10 years. A woman who is 26 is making a bunch of money on OnlyFans.
Millions.
Not all of them.
Yeah.
Some of them,
What's the average? I think the average is actually pretty low.
Yeah, the average is bad.
It's like not even like $70, I think, or
but that's
300.
because
but that's like most people aren't going to make money. But of the women who do, what happens in 10 years? They're 36.
I have really, really bad opinions about this, and it's making me nervous.
Well, now you got to tell everybody.
Well, because it's a young person's game, and there are so many young ladies that are told that because that mistake being young for being pretty, and then they're fighting in this slew of young people, right? Young women, where they're just young. They're not really particularly pretty. It's like they get this idea that, because the 5 guys that keep hitting on me over at the bar keep hitting on me and won't go away, I must be hot. Then they get on OnlyFans, and then next thing you know, there's OnlyFans or only girls on OnlyFans posting their L's, posting these comments from these horribly broken women that thought, I'm pretty and I'm going to get on the internet and I'm going to make a lot of money because guys think I'm pretty, and then the internet treats them like horrible. But it's rough. It's not okay.
The point I want to make is, you get a woman, let's say she's attractive and 26. 10 years goes by, now she's 36. A lot of the guys have either paired up or are no longer interested because they want a 26-year-old. But she's still probably doing well. An attractive woman in her 30s is going to do all right. 46. Now, what happens to a woman who has no discernible skills because she spent a couple decades doing OnlyFans. Now she's in her late 40s. What does she do? Does she open like an OnlyFans network to court young talent and manage their accounts for them or something? Don't need to. It's all automated through the system. Does OnlyFans, well, assuming OnlyFans lasts that long or something like this happens, these women will eventually get too old to be able to do this and make money. And then what? Then they go to the state and they say it's the government's fault, they should pay me.
Yeah,
and that's
right.
not even without the AI and anime stuff that's coming our way.
Oh,
it's going to totally destroy society in many different ways. But I just looked it up. The average OnlyFans creator earns about $180 to $150 a month, according to the best estimates out there.
That is, can you imagine thinking that you're a pretty young girl at 20 years old, right? And like the only experience you've had is in town. Everyone has treated you like you're the hottest girl around because there's 30 girls that are young and pretty and you're the hottest of the 30, but put you in like, on the internet, and then you're competing with like beautiful women from all over the world, and then you get treated like crap because you're not as pretty as the prettiest, and it just destroys your self-esteem. It's just, I'm not saying that women shouldn't do it, and I'm not the guy that's going to judge people that do that. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But it's not as easy as people think. It's like I'm a musician and I'm in a band, and the chances of me actually succeeding for as long as I have, it is nobody is as lucky as I am. Like, it never happens. The fact that I've been doing this for 20 years as a professional musician, that wasn't even in the cards. I didn't think I'm going to start a band and I'm going to be successful. I thought I'm going to start a band and play on the weekends and work a day job for the rest of my life.
Right.
That's what I expected. And thankfully it didn't work out that way, and I'm super fortunate. But like, your average person, your average young girl that starts an OnlyFans account thinking that she's going to get beat up emotionally, and it's gonna hurt, and it's just
and they can never take it back.
Yeah,
that content will always be on the internet. People will take pictures on their phones with another phone or something like that.
And you can never take it back, and it's going to come up in job interviews for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, like you're saying, I mean, the odds of becoming a millionaire at this, I mean, are so minimal. But secondarily, I mean, do you want to be in your 50s and 60s and trying to cling to relevance and trying to still live that lifestyle? It's just... that's a sad road.
I don't want to sound like I'm coming off judging anybody at all, because I understand that there are problems later in life that come along with it and stuff. But I really think the most of the damage happens to young people because of the expectation, and then when reality hits them. Because by the time you're 40, if you've been living that life, you know what's coming. It's like, if you've been living that life, you're 36, you're like, man, clock is ticking, and these things ain't up here anymore, they're down here, or whatever. It's like that. It's not like you're high. That's a secret.
Well, another aspect is that the market has become so competitive. It's not. So I think talking to some of the women out there, they have this notion that, I could just post whatever picture and I'll get millions of dollars. It doesn't work that way. A lot of the biggest earners work extremely hard on their content, on messaging people. They have PR teams. They have entire marketing teams that work with them. It's not just as some people think. Like, because again, on average, $150 a month. Yeah.
There's that old saying: every woman has boobs.
Every woman has boobs.
They give you that warning, but it's not true. Actually, I think the average amount of boobs is less than 2. The average amount of limbs is less than 2.
1.89 boobs per woman.
It is, because like, you get any individual who's had like an amputation or a mastectomy, and then it brings the whole average down. But my point is, like Luke is saying, there's a lot of women who think they're going to be successful at this, not realizing that there's 100+ million American women. You're competing with all of the ones willing to do it, which is a lot.
Yeah. And
so that's like massive supply with like demand can only get as high as there are dudes, but supply is
and if you're
endless.
coming in cold, like you've never done any kind of social media stuff, they don't realize that like content is the driver. You have to keep feeding that content machine. So that means you got to post pictures every day, and you got to interact with the fans that are paying you, and blah blah blah. It's like,
and it's nonstop work.
Yeah,
it's like more than 9 to 5 in some instances.
I can't post on my Instagram page enough to feel like I am getting the most out of my Instagram page.
Yeah, I mean, if it sounds too good to be true, it's because it is.
Yeah,
right.
So,
I mean, it's
a lot of work. It's hard, and it's just, it sounds like it's, oh, look, this person makes millions, but yeah, that person is probably not just like waking up, taking a picture, and then going about their
Yeah, I mean, like
day.
in your business, that's being like, oh, somebody sings and they make money. I'll start singing.
Yeah.
What?
It's not how it works.
Yeah.
That's what people think.
That is how they think.
What the song "Money for Nothing"?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That ain't working. That's the
Yeah.
way you do it. You
Money
play the
for
guitar on the MTV.
Yeah, that's a good song. Wasn't it like the band was they were like at a Best Buy or something? They overheard some guy say that or something like that.
I mean, that I wouldn't surprise me. I haven't heard the
that's
story, but
urban legend.
Wouldn't
But
be
like I heard a story that they were at like a furniture store and they overheard two guys watching one of their music videos or watching music and like watching MTV or something, and then they were like, "That ain't working," that's the job we should get. And it's just like, yeah, it's probably more work. It's substantially more work. People think that like YouTube, for instance, they're like, man, I really want to do that. And I'm like, yeah, it's like endless work.
Mark wrote it
Yeah.
after overhearing a delivery man in New York department store complain about their jobs while watching MTV. He wrote the song in the store sitting at a kitchen display they had set up.
There you go.
Many of the lyrics were things they actually said. That ain't working. That's the way you play the guitar on the MTV.
Money for nothing and the chicks for free.
Money for nothing and chicks for free.
And then a lot of these musicians end up doing drugs, becoming extremely depressed, hate their lives.
Yep.
And it's funny when you hear about these big bands that break up. And I remember growing up, you'd hear about a band that broke up or whatever. And then people would be like, why would they break up? They were successful. And it's like, yeah. And the other ones that don't do a bunch of heroin. Right. It must not be all that great.
All that remains is we have had one person pass away a couple of years back. One guy, I was an alcoholic or am an alcoholic. I don't drink anymore. So that kind of like the lifestyle is real. We've gone through more drummers, probably gone through as many drummers as Spinal Tap, I think. Like 7 or 8 of them. We go through drummers like mad. It's hard to play blast beats and double bass, man. That stuff's hard.
Wait until you find out about child celebrities. And,
Oh, man.
And the people that Disney brings up.
Oh, God. I don't want to.
It's crazy, man.
I talked to Eliza Blue, like she's on Twitter and stuff. We're mutuals and stuff, and hearing that poor woman, like she is so damn strong, and the work that she has done is really, really, really great. And hearing the stories that she's related, it's I don't envy that poor soul. She's done great work, but man, she has paid.
Let's go to Super Chats. If you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, and become a member at timcast.com. So type that in, timcast.com, click join us, become a member, and we will have on the front page in the left side is a members only uncensored show that goes up Monday through Thursday at 11 p.m. We got one for you tonight, but let's read your Super Chats right now. So smash that like button. We got Dapper McStash. He says, Tim and Ian, guys, the fusion facility in California got another sustained ignition with an energy gain factor of almost 1.5. Check the New York Times. I heard that.
That is big.
Yep. So I think they were saying something like the amount of fuel required for fusion is like a kilogram compared to modern energy output of comparable energy output would be like 10,000 tons of fuel. So this is big news.
Yeah.
Isn't China's actually pretty advanced on that, aren't they? I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah, I saw an article a little while back that they're making strides.
But the other thing too, I don't think people are talking about, and I would need to ask an expert. They're fusing hydrogen into helium. So does this mean we can effectively have a byproduct of manufactured helium?
Maybe.
Yeah. And helium is finite on this planet, and we're worried about running out. So maybe that's a solution. All right. Kevin Pilgrim says, Phil again? How the hell did I get so lucky? Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's here. he was chilling. We were like, yeah, just come on the show. He's like, all right. Let's grab some more news. Ruler of the Star says, Phil is back for the last time with a darkened heart. He has to stand up for his victory lap. Hold on. This probably won't end for at least 2 weeks. Or are we asking too much?
How many did you get in there? It's like 10 song titles. He's like 10 song titles in there, I think. Good job.
I think a bunch of people tried playing a game of cramming as many titles as possible.
How many All That Remains titles can we put into the sentence?
Yeah. Where we at? A lot of people just saying, yeah, welcome back. That's great.
Thank you, guys. Give me a follow at Phil That Remains on the Twitter machine.
There you go. Reaper's son says, Tim, can you bring Matt Binder back on, or at least call him out on Twitter for the way his twisting the Twitter files information and lying to people? I mean, that just sounds like the left, I guess.
It sounds like Matt Binder.
Yeah. I mean, hey, props to him for coming on the show.
He did when he came on. I've said this on Twitter. When he came on, I was watching the show, and it was so frustrating to watch him because I'm just like, this guy is twisting everything. He's so full of crap. And I appreciate the fact that he came on, obviously, because, it's good to have people that disagree and stuff. But it's really, really frustrating to hear someone that is so intent on controlling the narrative.
We are going to have one heck of a show soon with, I'm not going to say who, but we actually were able to book a couple different very, very prominent leftists at the same time. So this
be wild.
Is going to be fun. I want to say who it is, but I don't know if leftist is the right word, but liberal Democrat type personalities. So it should be interesting. Matt Binder kind of style. But we'll see.
Are they communists?
I don't know.
I don't know. I think I don't know who it is.
Let's we'll just read. I don't like saying guess in advance in case they cancel and people get disappointed or whatever. Right. But look, I got to tell you, we invite leftists and liberals come on and they just ignore it. They talk smack online, and then I reply with, "I'd love for you to say that on my show to all of my viewers," and they're like, "I ain't going to the show." It's like, okay, don't you want to tell people what you think about me? No.
Right. They're like, no, he had the black Nazi on.
They just want to tell their people what they think.
All right. David Dorr says, Tim, I'm so sorry to hear about Mr. Bocus's declining health. I lost a cat to lymphoma a few years ago after endless treatments, radiation, and chemo. It's heartbreaking. I just wanted you to know. I feel it. I really do appreciate it, David Dorr. I can give you guys an update. He's home. I haven't seen him yet because he came home while we were starting the show. He's on medication that the doctor referred to as palliative or hospice care. Unfortunately, Mr. Bocus either has developmental organ issues or genetic issues, but I think it's probably developmental because he was born in the streets, probably ate garbage, garbage in, bad organ development. He's got underdeveloped kidneys, which made him susceptible to chronic kidney disease, which happens in cats. And unfortunately, because of his his genetic heart defects, he is not a good candidate for a kidney transplant if we were going to even try and get one, nor can he receive dialysis if we were going to consider getting it for him, which maybe it's just really expensive. So what they said was they hope he makes it to Christmas. And that's just crazy. Because like 6 months ago, we did a photo shoot and we got a picture of him on the website. So if you go to timcast.com, when you click join us, you'll see a talent roster of just various personalities who work here. And Bocus is front and center. Roberto Jr. is the bottom right. He's a rooster that we raised. And Bocus looks very plump and healthy. And that was like 6 months ago. Mm-hmm. So it just hit. We were worried that it was something we did, but they told us, they're like, no, they like 3 different doctors were like, we had a cardiologist, internal medicine, as well as the ER doctor. And they were like looking at him and looking at everything. It seems like it was just something that was going to start happening. His kidneys eventually we're going to start getting weaker. And then it's a rapid progression. And it's just very, very unfortunate, but we're gonna bring him out at the Christmas party, and I have formally made it a job requirement for Timcast employees to inform Mr. Bocus that they love him. So it's been formally announced. I'm kidding, by the way, but I jokingly did say that. Everybody, you got to tell Bocus you love him because they said they hope he makes it to Christmas. So we're going to be giving him hormones for his blood count. We're going to be giving him IV fluids. They said maybe he'll make it a couple months, and if he does, they'll want to see him again and see how he's doing. They said he's voracious, and they're actually surprised, considering his levels, how he's behaving, as if nothing's wrong. And that's actually the problem. We didn't know anything was wrong with him because he's a tough little SOB, and he acted like there were no problems. So we saw no symptoms. He got a little thin, and we brought him to the vet. Vet was like, well, just get him a better food. And they didn't even, the vet didn't even think to check for kidney failure until he started blacking out, started dropping to the floor. And then we were like, oh, okay. And that was on Friday. We rushed him to the ER, and they were like, yo, he's like on the verge of death. And we were like, what? Little homeboy was putting up a tough fight and pretending like no problem was happening. So with the medicine, we'll see. But I do appreciate it. We're going to try and figure out to the best of our abilities how to immortalize Mr. Bocus. I think we'll have him choose an heir. So we want to rescue another cat, and then we'll have him, whichever one he gets along with, a kitten. And then maybe if we get a kitten soon, he can teach, the kitten the business, how to be a good, C-suite personality for the company. And then when he invariably passes, unfortunately, then we'll have Bocus too. But it is what it is, man. We will mourn for Mr. Bocus.
Get him cremated and put a little bit of Mr. Bocus in a necklace around your
Viking funeral.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, I think Bocus gets a Viking funeral. We'll get a little boat. Yeah, a little boat with a little flaming arrow, and we'll
But you got the river just right over here.
That's right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Viking funeral for Mr. Bokus.
Perfect.
I don't know if that's illegal, but we'll look into it.
It's better to ask.
Forgiveness rather than permission.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know if so we're in an adventure center area where there's tons of people. I don't know if setting a cat on fire is something that
It
people
sounds
would have-
adventurous to me. I don't know about anyone else. That sounds like an adventure that I'd be interested in.
Think of it.
If
in
they
the
understood
winter,
what
you'd
was
be
happening,
okay.
they would be for it.
There's the other thing we can do where we can set up a pyre. You know how they do it?
Yeah,
They
funeral pyre.
Yeah, funeral pyre, and we'll do something really great and
right
we'll give them
outside of
send
Chicken
off.
City.
Who's going to shoot the bow?
You? I don't know.
I don't want to shoot it.
You might want to do a crossbow. Because then you definitely know
Yeah,
who it is.
I have a
You get little
crossbow.
yeah,
They're very accurate.
Crossbow.
we got a bunch of bows, and I'm not going to pretend like I'm actually good or anything, but accurate enough to where I'm not super worried about it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
but we'll do a funeral pyre. We won't do a boat.
was gonna
I
say,
like the boat idea.
If you,
I mean, he
do have
deserves a
him-
boat, I think.
If he's out in the water and you shoot a flaming arrow, I mean, you are shooting into the water.
yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
You come over to the West Virginia
people
side.
fish. People fish with bows and arrows all
Yeah.
the time. It's totally fine.
Come to the West Virginia side. I know the guy that owns River Riders. Sure, he'd let you do it.
There you go.
No problem.
Figure out a Viking funeral for Mr. Bokus.
Yeah.
We could maybe find somebody who's like an expert archer to do the official, send
Or
off.
everyone has a.
Yeah, just
Or
50 arrows.
everybody takes a shot.
My arrows will blot out the sun.
yeah.
But I also think, of getting a little bust made of Mr. Bokus.
cute.
Someone sent us a bust of me, and it's funny because downstairs on the table under the TV is a bronze bust of my head, and it's very strange for me that it exists because we made fun of Dr. Fauci for having a painting of himself, and then I think it was maybe it was Mike Cernovich who was like his daughter probably painted that for him, and I was like, oh, that's a good point. And then I walk downstairs and I'm like, there's a statue of my head right in my own house. That's awful. But somebody made it and it was a gift. And so I really appreciate they did that. But I'm like, I get it. I'll lay off Fauci for the painting thing and call him out for the lying thing.
Right.
Let's read some more super chats. James Jarvis says, lady at Subway today got angry with all male crew taking a while. Looked at me, quote, no offense. The problem is there aren't any women. I told her that's offensive and she's sexist. I said, no offense. What if I said inverse? Nada.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I don't want to say this word because I don't know if it's offensive. So I'll ask Serge first.
Oh no, redneck. It just means redneck. But
What, really?
why wouldn't you just call me Zeph, bro? Come on.
Serge speaks Afrikaans like a Ruinek.
Ja, ek is 'n boer man. Dankie.
Tina Collett
okay.
says, Tim, be real. Would you rather trust a Gen Zer or a Gen Jones? Late boomers, early Gen Xers.
That's the first I've ever heard Jen Jones for that.
Gen Jones?
Probably Jim Jones. I don't even know.
I don't know. I probably not a Gen Zer.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a handful that I know that are great. We've had a few on the show. We have some working here, but early Gen Xers, late boomers, I think they're all right.
Yeah,
They made
that's
Star
fine.
Trek.
Yeah.
The next
come
generation.
on. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Phil, you're a Gen Xer.
Gen Xer.
There you go.
Gen Xer.
Good people. Millennials. Oof. I kind of feel like Gen Xers have a tendency to be okay. Boomers are a mixed bag, and millennials are leaning towards being really awful. Gen Z, I'm not so sure though. They might be a mixed bag as well. Maybe. We'll see. I don't know. It's going to be interesting in 8 years when 10-year-olds today are voting, and you're going to be talking to some. Imagine this. It's going to be 2032. I'm going to be in my late 40s, and we're going to have a 25-year-old, highly influential, personality in politics, and I'm going to say something about, look, I know Biden is running for president for the 87th time. He's 100, and they're going to be, and then I'm going to say, but don't you remember back in 2026 when he was doing? They'll be like, I was a little kid, I don't remember, and you're going to be like, oh.
Yeah.
But when we had Vosh on the show and we talked about the Obama administration, he was like, "Oh, I was a kid back then. I don't know anything about that." And I was like, "Oh man,
Jesus."
But
That's remarkable.
A 22-year-old leftist influencer does not know about the Obama era.
Yeah.
They were 10 years old, or 12 years old, or 10,
Doesn't
or
know anything
8.
doesn't know anything about the Obama era, but he's going to tell you all about Marx.
That's right.
That's right.
Truth.
Oh man. Dalamar says, Phil, shh, do not bring a spotlight on Gen X. We are quietly taking all the cookies before anyone notices. Yeah. Ligamathigayan says, What the flink are you gabbing at, Jack? I ain't old. Who else can provide Batacaf Karen Trinidad Shabbat pressure? Corn Pop is the old son bitch in the room, but you flurge. And the thing, let's do push-ups and blarge for bitta. If you ask me, squicely cartavend unprepped.
Wow.
I think that is probably the most accurate Biden quote
Seriously.
anyone has ever produced.
Listen here, Jack. We're gonna Batacaf care. What was Batacaf? Like, people try to decipher what true and Shabbat pressure was. So when he said, remember that one?
Yeah.
He was trying to say, I was in the foothills of Afghanistan. I was in the foothills of Afghanistan, and that's how it comes out, right? So we get it. What is true international pressure?
True international something pressure.
Cooperation under pressure.
Yeah, could be cooperation.
True international cooperation under pressure. Batacaf care, what's that?
I don't know.
Healthcare?
It's almost
Bad.
like, have you seen that? You ever saw that movie, Pootie Tang?
No.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Pootie Tang.
Yeah, you remember Pootie Tang?
Yeah.
That's a Louis C.K. movie, yeah?
Chris Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Chris
Chris
Rock.
Rock did it. He's like, sign your pity on the run account.
Yeah, but didn't Louis C.K. direct it?
I think he did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty
no, I
sure
think you're
that's-
right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny.
Also, he says Gen X were the last independent generation, but they vowed to raise their kids differently. And the leftists of us started the participation trophies while we were working our fingers to the bone. I think it was boomers who did the participation trophies, and it was millennials. So there's like an in-between phase. I mean, the whole thing is waves. So it's like you can be in between Gen X and millennial. You could be at the cusp of millennial or whatever. But I was raised by middle tier boomers. And everything I knew growing up was all the participation trophy stuff. The Gen Xers at the time were in their late teens and early 20s, and they were not doing that stuff.
No.
They were drinking Pepsi, I think. That's what it was, right?
I was a Coke kid.
Generation Next.
I was a Coke kid.
Coca-Cola. Yeah.
They did-
but
they-
I mean, the ad was Generation Next
Yeah.
for
That's right.
Pepsi, but yeah.
Gen Xers love Pepsi. I know because the commercials told me. Let's see what we got. Dan Inez says Gen X has been taking care of ourselves since we were 6, and y'all are surprised we don't to deal with everyone else's crap. You don't want to deal.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Latchkey kids.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Where are we at? Mike Bouvat says Joe Biden equals post turtle. When you're driving down a country road, you come across a fence post with a turtle balanced on top. That's a post turtle. Is that where you're asking yourself, how did it get there?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
But so what people don't know is that turtles will stack. Turtles like climbing on top of each other and then spreading their legs out to dry off. And so what happens is the turtles will go up to the fences and stack on top of eeach other. And then eventually one is up on top and then the others will leave and you get a turtle up top or they fall over. So there was this old song 10 years ago it's about building a turtle fence. So it was Shmo Yoho on YouTube. Took this congressional testimony about building a turtle fence and then did an auto-tune version of it. It's actually really funny. The turtles that were climbing turtles couldn't get over the turtle fence. And it's it's a great song. It's like, because it was 2 feet tall. So the turtles couldn't get over.
Is Kamala going to climb Biden or the other way around?
Don't give me that visual.
John Kirsten says Luke has gone full Alex Jones.
He's like, and
No comment.
Where are we at? Dalamar says the bunny is CIA.
oh god.
Yep, he was.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was. Daniel says, Phil, for 2 days in a row, good Xmas gift. Phil, as a fan of Halo and read the books, what was your opinion of the Halo series on Paramount?
Terrible. It was atrocious. I was really bummed out. Yeah, it was terrible, and I was bummed out.
Mind Fury 1980 says, new Ian is rolling 20s tonight.
Where are the dice?
They're all dying.
They're all there.
100-sided dice.
There's like 12.
I was looking for the 20-sided, but yeah.
There's a 20-sided right there. It's gray, and they're all 20s.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
well, there
So
you
no
go.
matter what you do, you roll a 20. And then I think that one's the green one you grabbed. It's like a 120-sided die.
Yeah, all
the
the
green and
ones-
red one. And then those orbs are 100-sided metal die that are very heavy.
Oh, you got a bunch of guitar picks. I'm leaving guitar pick too.
And there's a ton of rocks everywhere.
There are rocks everywhere.
And he brought an abacus up here.
Yeah.
It's just-
He has a lot of accoutrements, but
That's right.
I'm gonna
And he
give him-
has graphene spray.
What?
Right.
Yeah, look at it. What is it? Graphene flex spray. Don't spray anything with
Yeah,
it.
no, please don't.
They're not kidding.
No. It's wild. Toilet paper. Everything.
Ian, I love you. I'm
Yeah,
leaving
it's
you
like
a Jason Richardson
Luke,
pick, Ian.
No, it's funny if you think about it. Luke has like these health drinks. He's got like 5 different kind of health drinks over there,
And my machete.
and a machete. And then I've actually just got monitors, and I got a tech deck over here now. I've got a little
go.
fingerboard. You know,
Little mini stream lab.
yeah.
Or,
Well, I just for
stream,
controlling
stream
everything.
deck.
But Ian's certainly at the new building we're setting up. We're going to create. We mentioned it's a cafe. We're going to do Ian's Crystal Cove, and it's the first floor. You open the curtains, and that's where the TV, and it's like dimly lit, and there'll be like lights everywhere, like like you know what I mean, like lava lamp kind of lights.
Google up the scene from Mallrats where Brody goes to the dirt mall to talk to the woman, the 3 nipple woman, and that's what I imagine Ian's
Crystal Cove.
looks like.
It's actually a decently large area where there's like a mezzanine on top, so we have the space underneath where we can. It's big, and it's like I don't know, like 15 by 15, or like I don't know, it might be like 20 by 20. And so we're gonna put TVs, couches, and that's where you'll chill and drink your coffee, and then you can go upstairs, play games. It'll be a lot of fun. All right, Strider says, Tim, The Peripheral was a book first in 2014. In the book, was the jackpot started with the Texas secessionist movement, though? Revolution or whatever? Because in the movie, I'm sure they take, certain artistic leeway, if you know what I mean. All right, I can't read your name, says Phil, while I know it wasn't written for it, Madness was the official song for the Afghanistan debacle. It got me through that situation and continues to do so. Thank you.
Cool, good. It was not written for it, but it probably sums it up pretty nicely.
All right, Patriot American says, Tim, I've been a fan since 2019, and I've been thinking about applying for a job at Timcast, specifically the gaming team. I have natural experience with writing game manuscripts and researching what's needed for the game to succeed. I appreciate it. Right now, we are working on a roguelike platformer-ish kind of game that we really don't have anybody to hire for right now. If that investment works and the game goes out and it makes sense, then we'll expand and we'll do more. But for the time being, we don't really have much there in that department. Like, we haven't even launched anything yet, so, it is what it is. And I've talked about, like, do we hire more coders and developers? And it's just like, that wouldn't do anything. Like, you can't have a bunch of people, just too many cooks in the kitchen. We're not making a very complicated game is the simplest way to put it. All right, Salty Duckling says the Pope's omen is code. He's trying to tell us that the World Economic Forum people have revealed the full plan to him, and his conscience had a moment of guilt. He can't say that out loud, though. Epsteining is a real thing.
Yeah, but they wrote books about it too, so it's not like a secret. Like Klaus Schwab literally put out a book called The Great Reset. Like, the plans that they have that everyone's acts like it's some big secret conspiracy theory. They're so secret they publish books that you can purchase on Amazon to find out the deep behind the meaning.
So maybe their goal is, if you're smart enough to read the book, you'll be okay, and if you're not smart enough to read the book, welcome to Darwin.
It's maliciously simple or deviously simple.
Yeah. Wade Mikunda says, anyone else notice that Luke always rolls a 20?
Not always. I make mistakes sometimes. Everyone does.
Well, I suppose. Machisma Mojo says, Ian is rolling 20s tonight, and then a picture of a rabbit emoji. Tony says, born 1960, we are called tweeners, not boomers. Boomers were of age to be drafted to Vietnam. Interesting. All right. Michael says, Tim, name your dark coffee AM Samani. It's a chicken that is black from feathers to bones and organs. Also, Biden signed an executive order while saying, I don't know what this says. And he was just told to sign it by Pelosi. What, for real? Did it happen?
I fully believe it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that's like the student cancellation stuff. He's like, the bill passed by just a couple votes. It's like, there was no bill.
There was no bill.
There was no bill.
What are you talking about, old man?
Unite Don't Fight says the fourth turning 2028 date coincides with the biblical date of the end times. The last generation was born on 3/14/48 when Israel rebuilt itself, fulfilling prophecy. A generation is considered to be 80 years. Phil, marry me. Well, that last part was a curveball.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
What's your name, homie?
Unite Don't Fight.
No, okay.
There you go.
There you go.
Let's see what we got. Andrew Galing says, huge fan, Phil. I'm currently working on opening a large music venue and constantly have your music playing while I work
Sick.
on this project. Cool stuff.
Right on.
Thank you. I love you.
There we go. Carl Flynn says the rabbit emoji in Elon's tweet wasn't even white. It was gray.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good point.
Yes, sir. All right. Mr. Duck says, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Festivus, buy a Papa John's pizza. I recommend mayo on my pizza. Keep doing the good work.
Whoa. What? Mayo on a pizza?
I guess. You ever put ranch on pizza?
Ranch? Yeah, mayo
Ranch
is a
is
shock. Mayo just...
Ranch is basically mayo.
I can't get down with that.
Mayonnaise on pizza?
No.
You know what? I wouldn't, but I would do if you mix mayo and barbecue together. That's what I like doing.
Yeah.
What's wrong with mayo?
on a pizza.
On a pizza,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah, I would say like
It's on your sandwiches. Why wouldn't it be on a pizza?
I was just
Don't be a mayo
surprised.
hater.
But here's the thing. You're saying no mayo on pizza, but if you take mayo and sprinkle some like celery salt in it, it's fine?
I just wouldn't put mayo on a pizza. As a topping on a pizza, no.
No, you dip it.
I would, personally, I think that the flavor of mayonnaise is a little too bland and pointless for because mayo kind of only adds
It's like a
bit of
texture.
texture, and it adds some saltiness to your food mostly.
It's like a vinegar.
Yeah, a little bit of
kind
vinegar.
punch.
Yep.
Acid.
Yeah, a little acidic, but like you were talking about, Chef Gruel said about the eggs and stuff. Add a little acid to it.
That was a stroke of genius.
I want to try it.
I've every breakfast I've had, I splash a little balsamic vinegar.
So it's just balsamic right on top of the eggs?
No. You push the eggs. This is what he said. He said push the eggs to the side, and then you've got because I cooked the bacon first, and then the bacon on the pan that stuck to it, you splash a little vinegar, scrape it and mix it around and flip it around.
And that's for scrambled eggs?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't even begin to describe how good it is.
really
It's
good.
crazy.
I'm going to try it.
Yeah, it just changes the eggs. I can't,
I'm a fan of vinegar anyways, but back to mayo on pizza. I'm not usually a hater. It just surprised me, and I needed a second to absorb it. That's all.
White pizzas are pretty good.
Jonathan Warner says, Phil, this calling, you must that on Timcast for 2 weeks and give us 6 more uncensored episodes. Also, when back in Minnesota, I haven't seen you guys since 93 Fest. It's been forever. Also, if possible, tour with Seven Dust.
All right, I don't think the 93 is accurate because that was a lot longer.
93 X Fest or something?
Oh, 93X. Oh, yes. Okay, that's a festival. Okay, yes. I mean, we get out to Wisconsin whenever we can, and we've got some really, really, really phenomenal fans. One of the best shows of my entire life was in Wisconsin. So I don't know when we'll be out there, but we've got new music coming in 23. So keep your eyes
Cool.
open.
Void Raptor says, next year we find out we've already had the Neuralink and have always been in Meta. I tweeted a joke, and Elon responded with fire emojis. So I'll read it for you guys if you didn't see it. Because people were saying I was making fun of Elon. I wasn't making fun of Elon. I was just kind of poking fun in general. And I guess I was just generally making fun of people. So where's the stupid tweet? I'm digging. It's coming up somewhere. I'm looking at my phone. I said, I used to think Neuralink was scary and dangerous, but then Elon Musk bought Twitter and agreed with me ideologically. So now I think Neuralink is great and want to have my brain plugged into the machine. And then a bunch of people started commenting and saying things like, do you even actually believe anything? And I was like, what are you talking about? It's a shitpost. And I was like, I love how people try to find deeper meaning in shitposts. Neuralink is awesome. I'm excited to see what it can do to save lives. We'll see how it goes with one-to-one human-computer interfacing. That's very far off. Elon responded with fire emojis to the first one. And a bunch of people were like, dude, he's making fun of you. And I'm like, I'm not making fun of Elon. I'm like just making a joke about fanboying and
People
like
that do that kind of
tribalism.
stuff.
But I responded in all seriousness, I do think Neuralink is great, considering the medical applications, but some scary ethical and philosophical conversations need to be had.
100%.
But some people pointed out the end goal is human-computer interface, and I think that is, I'm not outright opposed to it. I do think there are philosophical and ethical challenges to get past in solving for how you do something like that properly. And the issue is just that you can't have a billionaire in control of it. You can't have anyone in control of it. If people are linking their brains to machines, how do you, I don't even know if it's possible to build a system where there's no centralized control.
We were talking about this a little bit last night, and I think that getting that kind of connection into your brain, if it's just a interface, right? So it's basically takes the place of your thumbs tapping, then I'm not super worried about it. But once you get beyond that, once it gets to the point where it's beyond just, that kind of interface, which I mean, you might argue that they already have that because they've got monkeys controlling a video game by their, using Neuralink. So maybe they already have,
They have
could like the DNC Neuralink in with Fetterman and try to figure that one out for
well,
him.
the first
it
application
gets
of
so
Neuralink.
scary once you start really breaking it down, dude. It gets so scary.
Like the first application, there's no access to any systems outside, but it could correct his brain.
Yep.
They could put the chip on Fetterman, and Fetterman could be talking like normal and listening like normal. It could fix those things theoretically. The scary point is when you get into read and write mode. So you get a Neuralink. It's got wireless, and then someone writes into your brain,
Yep.
changing it, and you don't even realize.
The scariest way that I've been able to conceive it, sitting down thinking of the most terrifying things that I can come up with, is the way that your phone behaves now, right? But on steroids. So every time you think a thought, because Neuralink, ostensibly the idea is it's able to read your mind, right? The future versions of it. In the future, every time you think a thought that the controller, who the power, whatever, the bad guy that you're afraid of, whatever dystopian controller you decide you want to be worried about, every time you think a thought that guy approves of, the Neuralink tells your dopamine center to give you the tiniest little drop of dopamine.
Yep.
That means every time you think a correct thought, you are unknowingly being conditioned like Pavlov's dog to have a small, unnoticeable, like it would just be, oh, I'm in a good mood. And if you consistently have bad thoughts, then you just generally are kind of in a worse mood. If you consistently have good thoughts, then you're generally in a better mood. And that's literally controlling your mind just by using the thoughts that you already think and giving you a positive reward when you think of things that they want, and a negative reward or a negative penalty when you think of things they don't want you to think, and you'd never know it.
You thought computer viruses
well,
were
the way
bad?
you explained it now, I imagine the Chinese would love this.
I think anyone would.
Well, if my wife is able to program me to take out the trash at a certain time every day, I'm not for it.
But she can do that without, through conditioning, she can do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if I'm hearing that request, and I'll register it when I'm.
She's got a clicker.
When I'm ready.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, if you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, become a member at timcast.com for 2 reasons. First, so you can watch the very cool, uncensored members-only show that will go up tonight, and also to see a picture of Mr. Bocus the cat staring right there with a little bell on, and he's not long for this world, so you'll be able to see what we're referring to, and you can tell him, you can pray for him, and then maybe there'll be a miracle. So smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. You can follow the show at Timcast IRL. Follow us on Instagram. You can follow me at Timcast. And also, if you're on Twitter, follow at Timcast News, where we post news stories all day, every day. And you want to shout anything out?
Yeah. You all want to learn more about what I'm doing, you can go to moreforwv.com. You can follow me at Riley Moore WV on Twitter. Same thing on Instagram and also Facebook. And just thanks for having me on. This has been great.
Yeah, right on, man. Absolutely.
I am Phil That Remains, Phil Labonte. I sing for the band All That Remains. You can check me out on Twitter. It's at Phil That Remains. On Instagram, I am at Phil That Remains Official. Give me a follow. I'm an interactive kind of guy. If you talk smack, I might talk smack back. So yeah.
Good. Awesome. Thanks for coming. This was a great show. Really appreciated everyone's input. My YouTube channel is youtube.com/wearechange. Today I talked about the Pope's comments and how he was right, especially when it comes to international relations and the larger financial picture. I gave examples of that. And then on lukeuncensored.com, I talked about how he was right because of what's happening with health and our population. Check out those videos on We Are Change on YouTube and lukeuncensored.com. Thank you guys for having me.
And I'm Serge.com, as always, at Serge.com everywhere. Thanks. Been a good show. Appreciate it. Glad to be back.
Thanks for hanging out, everybody. We will see you all over at timcast.com.
Cheers, y'all.